Okay, so we should be streaming, in theory. Let me open up chat and all that stuff. And what we're going to be doing is looking at this pile of cards in front of me today. So we have a lot of stuff we can work with for this. Okay. So I think we are live. Yes, it looks like we're live. Cool. And it does start streaming before you click start streaming in YouTube, but only by like 15 seconds. Okay. All right, so yeah, what we're doing today is testing a bunch of 2080 Ti's. And what we are testing is artifacting primarily. So these are from viewers. And some of these, I've already tested most of them, but we can go through it again because it's always something new with this. And we keep finding different modes of crashing and things like that. So I'm going to wait for chat to join in a little bit and tweet out a link and stuff like that, and then we'll start benchmarking, and I'll show you the system that we have set up as well. So we are live testing the RTX 2080 Ti artifacting. All right. Cool. Okay, so most of you probably are aware of this issue by now. What we are not doing is hopefully not showing BSODs. So the BSOD issue should be pretty much solved. I think I have maybe one card in this stack in front of me that's okay, but it was just blue screening, and that should be resolved with the drivers because that was a very monitor dependent issue. Yes, we're using the latest NVIDIA drivers, or we will be. And then the rest of it is going to be artifacting, primarily on the FE cards, but we're going to look at some of these other cards as well. I have a Gigabyte one down there that I haven't tested yet, so we'll test that live today. And then as for, let's see, a couple questions in chat already too, and I'll start getting to these soon. So for first super chat was Savile SA 199. Hi Steve, unlimited power. Yes, unlimited power might be part of the problem on these. We'll find out today. James Coyle, $2. Intel is watching you. Don't know what that means, but probably accurate. Unboosted ZC, $5. Steve, are the limited edition tees fitted or looser overall? Hashtag FStream posters. They're pretty fitted, but they're very close to our other shirts, our non-foil shirts. So if you have one of those, they're pretty damn close. The foil tees are marginally tighter, like they're a little bit more fitted. So if you're kind of borderline, maybe bump a size up or down as appropriate. And I'll note that on store.gamersnexus.net, we are in the final rounds of these. So I think these will probably be gone during this stream today because we have, I don't know, like 20 left or something like that last I checked. Okay, so yes, we have a pile of 2080 Ti's. We have, let me just go through them first, I guess. So we've got, which one is this? This is in, I've labeled them all too for internal tracking purposes so we know whose is whose. But this is an EVGA 2080 Ti XE Gaming. We have a 2080 Ti XE Ultra, and then we've got a whole bunch of these. I have more that are not on the table here because we only have so much time today. So this one, FE card, obviously, and we have an FE in the bench already. We have a couple FEs in the other room. We have another FE. So we're going to be working on 3 of these live today, and then you can watch the video for other coverage when we do a recap video later. XE Gaming, and then a Gigabyte card. So the ones we're really interested in are the FEs, because I've already tested almost all the partner cards that I got in from you all. And if you do have a card with artifacting issues, I guess email us if you want to send it in on loan. But we'll figure it out. dead2080ti@gamersnexus.net if you really wanted to check on it. Okay, so people are starting to file in. Let me go over the test bench if we can see any of it. This is pretty straightforward. So we're not trying to replicate the blue screen issues today. We are going for other issues, and I guess I'll turn on my power logger too, because we might make use of that. I have a card in a bench next door that I forgot to bring over here, but it currently has about 6 thermocouples on it, so it's a wiry mess. But we're actually not seeing overheating issues on that. So not seeing VRAM overheating issues, not seeing VRM overheating issues. Backside of the PCB seems fine. There are cards that do run incredibly hot that I haven't put probes on yet, but just field tests are pretty hot. That's not valid for anything though. The card I have in the test bench over there now is actually not overheating. So it doesn't have memory thermal issues, which is what people postulated a lot when this issue first came about. So that doesn't appear to be the issue on that specific card. We'll see if it is on any of the others. Not going to test thermals live today because that involves taking them apart and putting a bunch of thermocouples on it. So I need to do that off stream. It takes a lot of time. But we are going to just demonstrate the problem and see if there's like, I don't know, if we throttle back on power or memory frequency, will it fix the artifacting issues? So here's the first card we're testing. This is F1, and this one is just an FE card as well. Then for the bench, we have Maximus 10 Hero. So an 8086K bench for this one. It's delidded. I mean, it's 5 gigahertz, doesn't really matter, but it's our standard CPU or CPU for GPU testing. And then a Corsair, if we look at the power supply down here, Corsair AX1600i, and that is sufficient. I mean, the reason I'm showing it is because we're not going to have power limitations with a 1600 watt power supply. So any of the issues are those of the card almost entirely. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. So I also have a power monitor on there. Then as for, before we get started with some of the testing here, the sponsor for the stream is Thermaltake and their Flow 360 cooler. So if you want to pick it up, we've got a link in the description, video description down below. This is the Thermaltake Flow Rain 360 RGB cooler. It comes with the Ring RGB fans. And they were actually some of the first to do that approach to LED lighting and fans. And it's an Asetek branded pump that's been modified for Thermaltake's uses. So if you're familiar with Asetek performance, you get the same Asetek performance here, just with Thermaltake's rain fans for some extra oomph. Okay, so first one, we've got some people in chat now. And I think let's just go ahead and, did you note down the memory each card has? Okay, let me address this. Apparently Micron has a supply issue. There's actually no confirmation of that. Like everyone who says that doesn't know what they're talking about. There might be issues with the Micron memory, but the reason people think that there are issues is not the correct reason. People think that Micron memory is bad on like all RTX cards because NVIDIA started using Samsung memory. That's not how it works. NVIDIA and AMD always mix their memory suppliers after the first round comes out for new memory architectures or designs or whatever. GDDR6 is brand new. Micron is first to market. Samsung's coming in. So it's to alleviate a supply issue, not to alleviate necessarily a defect issue with the Micron chips. So there could be an issue with the Micron memory. There might be a bad batch, but all of the Micron memory is not bad, which is what I'm seeing a lot online, where people are like, all RTX 2080 Ti's that have Micron memory don't work, because that's not true. We have, I don't know, like a dozen RTX cards for review sample purposes, and not one of them had this artifacting issue. So anecdotal, yes, but there are hundreds of reviewers, and same thing there. And also, I mean, I know from talking to people, it's supply. So this always happens. The cards always bring on new memory suppliers as they start pushing. Same thing with, this is why a lot of the vendors won't specify their capacitors, their thermal pads, their thermal paste, stuff like that, because the supply has changed constantly to keep up with demand. So you open one card to the next, you might see different thermal paste or thermal pads, as we saw with RTX, and that's the same thing you're seeing with the memory. So definitely there could be a difference in quality between memory, but that's the reason the memory is changing is not solely because of like defect issues or something like that. So when is the foil shirt expected to ship? They're in production, and I think we have it on the website. Above the add to cart button, there's like an estimate of when they'll be shipping. So that's handled by distribution. But if you go to store.gamersnexus.net, click on the foil shirt, you'll see the estimate for when we're planning to ship it. Okay, so yeah, let's just run, I don't know, like Time Spy or something. We have a lot of testing we're doing separately that won't be on the stream for diagnostics, but you can use different applications, like different, GT2, for example, is great for testing memory. If we think there's a memory issue specifically, if it's memory artifacting, and it does look like that, you could run GT2 and try and validate that. You run firmark if you think it's a power delivery issue, and we've been doing that as well. So we have different applications to stress different parts of the card. I have the monitor scaled, so this is I might have to scale it back up to 4K. We're not looking at performance or anything today. We're just looking at, is it going to start artifacting? So let me let this launch, and then I might scale it back to 4K just to get it to go full screen, because we get artifacts, we want to enjoy them in their full resolution. So like I said, we are working with a number of cards today, and the time at which they fail may be different. The applications that cause them to fail may be different. Some might even be completely fine, depending on if they were sent in on BSOD issues or sent in on artifacting issues. So let's kill this and get it open full screen. Okay. This is just going to make it harder for me to see, but it'll be easier for you to see. All right, so stress test. So we're just going to tell it to run Firestrike Extreme. It might not, or Time Spy Extreme. Might not artifact. We'll see in a second. And if it does not, we'll launch a different one. Okay, so let me check on chat for a second. So we got, I'm not convinced this is real, Steve. I don't know what that means. Like it happens, so you're gonna see it. What we don't know is this widespread issue or not? Like the artifacting specifically. BSODs were a widespread issue. Artifacting, it's kind of nebulous because speaking with partners, they're still seeing RMA rates that are completely within the norm. So you know how that kind of is represented as these cards age, we don't know, but certainly NVIDIA says it's not a broad issue, and the partners seem to say that they have low RMA rates, but NVIDIA is not going to tell us if they have high RMAs, and I don't know. The retailers seem to say that theirs are normal as well, which is typically under 4%. Super chats while this is going until sometimes it takes a couple minutes to artifact, sometimes it doesn't at all. It depends on which card is in there, so we'll find out soon. Super chat from Sam Comanso, $2. Thank you for that. Thanks for doing this for the community, Steve. I think Sam might be sending in one of his cards as well, so we may have one coming in from you. I need to check my notes on this one and see if I already tested this. This is card F1. So F1, I saw issues with artifacting originally and issues with being unable to install drivers at all with the previous driver version. So that might be a different issue than some of the other ones. But we'll let it go a little longer, and I'm going to read some more super chats before we try and stress it different ways, cause it to crash. So next one is from Draco Nightwalker, $5. Great way to spend a Saturday morning watching Tech Jesus. Well, thank you for viewing from Australia. Axios, $5. Was the thumbnail with the lightning a subtle advert for the mod mat, i.e. anti-static properties? Nope, I think we were just going for destructive references. $2, message retracted, okay? Easier, $2, Australian. Can we get some GN-themed pajamas? No, sorry, no current plans. Wishbone, $5. Does the 2080 Ti suffer from artifacts from Beetle Adventure Racing? Where did this reference to this game start? Because I've seen this one a lot, the Beetle Adventure Racing reference. Do you know where that came from? Is that a Linus thing, or is that just like a general gaming thing? Let's see. Let's see what's going on with the card. So I'm just going to launch Precision and just double check on its frequency while it's running. Extreme, okay, good enough. And we'll just kind of start swapping cards, looking for ones that artifact. We've got a big pile of them. And Andreas Sheriff, $2. Steve, tell Jay to hashtag pimp my PC. Isn't that Kyle's thing? I think that's Kyle's thing, isn't it? Pimp my rig. I meant to launch that in windowed mode. We got one from Sean Devine, $5. Have you considered doing more joint videos with the Canadian Ruble Miser Linus? Yeah, I mean, he's not that close to us, so we try to just meet up with him whenever we're at events at the same time. And it's always fun working with Linus, of course. Let me launch that in windowed. I'll probably work with them at maybe CES. We might run into each other in Las Vegas in January. Next one, Chris Indio 6, $5. Got home just in time to crack a beer and take a dab to see Steve fiddle with my card. Thanks for doing this. I don't know which one yours is, but it is. If you sent it in, it's probably on the table. We might have another one. It might be in one of the benches next door. Okay, so let's check on the. Just see if the frequency is doing what it should be. It should be going to like 1900 megahertz. So just part of basic troubleshooting here. That's kind of within reason, I guess. Okay, so I'm not seeing artifacting yet on this one. This is one that had specifically had issues with installing drivers, and it was the previous version, so that might be a driver-related defect, although it was pretty severe artifacting if it was just a driver thing, whereas some of the others might be hardware level. We'll find out, though. Let me just boost the power target just to see what happens if we do basic overclock. That shouldn't be a problem. So I just did 100 offset and max power target. Now, most of these are artifacting if they artifact with the baseline specs. So you shouldn't need to overclock them to cause it. But we're just going to let it run like this for a bit and maybe go to a couple minutes or something, see if it exhibits any issues. Then I need to figure out which card I was testing earlier. Not that one. I think, let me check the other room and see which card I had that for sure was having issues. This one should be pretty good. All right, so I'm just grabbing a card out of a test bench right now. Should still be able to hear me. And it's got a lot of wires hooked up to it, so it's going to take me a second. Okay. I'm caught. Okay, there we go. So here's one that's really under test right now. Lots of wires coming out of it, lots of thermocouples logging different parts of the card to see if there's a thermal issue. So there were no thermal issues with this one that we've measured. We don't have every component logged, of course, but we've got a lot of them logged. And we're not seeing high thermals or out of spec thermals on any. So I've got one of the MOSFETs, 2 memory modules, backside PCB where it's the hottest, on the backside anyway, and none of those are showing thermal issues. So, but it's just killing benchmarks as they run. So one of the things we're trying to figure out is that because of a power issue, or is it because of the monitor that's hooked up to it? But we've tested in a couple different test benches now, and sometimes the issues are sporadic, but for artifacting they seem pretty universal. Let's see, which one of these? Everything's so small at 4K from this distance. So we're gonna just do OpenGL stress test. That's not what I wanted, but close enough. I guess they've updated this application. All right, I'm just gonna run this for a minute as well. Stress a different part of the card. So this is gonna be power. And we should reset to defaults here too. Default. Okay, no overclock. So the frequency here, I should note, is going to be lower. So if you're seeing numbers that you think are low, it's because Firmark specifically does not enumerate the clock the same way. It's more of a VRM stressor, so you don't boost as high. So that's actually normal. That's not a defect, that it's at 1600 megahertz. And we've got 99% GPU load. I don't like this version of Firmark, I have to say. And thermals are within reason on the core so far. Typically we let this run for at least half an hour if we're trying to do thermal tests, but this one on the card I'm going to plug in next was failing within a couple minutes typically. I don't know that we've seen that on the card that's in there now. So we have F1 in there now. We're going to go with E1 next, which is one of the other cards. And feeling kind of impatient, so I'm not going to let this go too long before I plug in the other one, just to start showing off some of the issues that we're seeing. But it doesn't hurt to start with one that has sporadic. People are saying bad donut, and now I want donuts. Donut of death. And Homer, no. All right, let me check super chats and stuff. So, oh, actually, let me check a couple store orders too, because we got some of those in. So if you order from the store tonight on store.gamersnexus.net, we're down to the last probably 20 or so. Actually, we got an order in. Let's see, maybe 19 at this point of the foil graph logo shirts. This one that I'm wearing now, the limited edition one. So we're planning probably going to run out of this one. If you remember the last one in the middle back there, the foil anniversary teardown logo shirt, that one we had some left over after we sold through. We had a couple left over that we held for shipping purposes in case any got lost in shipping, just to make sure everyone got one. This one's been popular enough. We're not going to do that this time. So I mean, they'll be gone when they're gone, and that's going to be it. There won't be a second listing for any period of time. So we got an order from Jonathan from New York. Thank you for placing that. Picked up a video card components poster and one of the shirts. Okay, so I'm feeling impatient. I want to show issues. Let's switch over to a card that typically has been showing issues, but you never know. It should probably persist to this bench from the other one. This is so hot, but it's not outside of spec or anything. It's just too hot to touch. So the back plate on these, it seems like on all of them, gets to be about 70 degrees or so Celsius. And for perspective, 60 is about where you don't want to touch it for more than a couple seconds. But that doesn't mean it's malfunctioning, though. It just means, you know, be careful if you are swapping cards out a lot. And that's also why we hooked up so many thermocouples to this one, which we'll go ahead and monitor some of those while this is running, assuming I can do it without them getting too crazy tangled. So this one's going to memory. It's going to this thermocouple. It's going to a memory module where the slot's right there. So it's right around here on the board. And then this thermocouple back here is going to the back side of the PCB on one of the hot spots on the back side of a GDDR6 module. And then this one is going to a MOSFET. So it's the hottest MOSFET in the middle of the VRM. And actually, that's going to memory next to the MOSFETs. It's the hottest memory die next to the VRM. And then this one is going to the MOSFET in the middle. I think that's all of them on this card. So that's so a lot of thermocouples, which gets really annoying to set up and very expensive very fast. Okay, so this is E1, which, like I said, does not appear to have thermal issues, but does appear to have issues with stability. And we're going to have to probably reinstall the drivers for each card. This thermocouple's in my way. There we go. Okay, cool. So we're annoyingly going to have to should reinstall drivers for each one because it's a different device ID, despite being the same model of device. So we're going to just reinstall and clean those drivers. PCIe. And okay, this one should be kind of fun because we can look at the thermal data while it's going. Okay, there we go. Okay, no thermocouples near the fans. Okay, those are all on. We're booting, and those are away from the fans, so we should be good to go on this one. If it'll boot, there we go. It's a good start. So yeah, this one, after a driver install, it's been crashing in I don't know, it's so sporadic. So it crashed twice in Firestrike Extreme. And then after that, it survived Firestrike Extreme, but it kept crashing in Furmark, but it's a different version of Furmark than I have on here. So we'll see how much that matters. And I need quick DDU. So DDU. Okay. After we DDU, we're gonna install the driver. Part of this is also testing the new driver versus the old, but I was using this one on the new driver today when I was having those issues. Okay, super chats while this is clean on installing. Hidden Shades, $5 Canadian, thank you. Der Bauer mentioned that the 2080 Ti cards are running less than 5% RMS currently. I believe his number was actually around 2%. So, and I think your message got cut out. Are the loud few making? And then it ends there. Yeah, so that's about what we're hearing less than that actually. So typically numbers for basically for like all of the cards is under 4% for RMAs, and then some manufacturers have told us they're at 0.1% for RTX, and some are even lower than that. You have to remember a few things here. There's some sample bias because manufacturers like Asus, Gigabyte, all the board partners, those people, they are selling different cards technically, so it's the same reference PCB, same GPU, same memory even, but there could be something else going on with batch. Like if NVIDIA got the first batch of everything, maybe that one had defects or something to that extent. But then you have to ask, why isn't that happening with the press samples? So yeah, it's definitely, this issue is not quite as widespread, I don't think, as you might believe. It's not like literally every 2080 or 2080 Ti is doing this artifacting. The BSODs got mixed in there with the artifacting, which made it look a whole lot worse than it was. But most of those are related to multi-monitor, to G-Sync, high refresh, anything to do with monitors. So the BSODs are being solved through drivers, whereas the artifacting, we don't really, speaking with various people in the industry, don't really have a known solution for those yet. So that's what we're dealing with in terms of unpredictable behavior. But to answer your comment, it is a low RMA overall from what partners have told us, for what you can trust of that number. And sounds like it's more affecting FE, and we don't have any numbers from NVIDIA for FE RMAs. It's a really riveting installation of the driver version 416.81. Okay, so, and then we've already killed the drivers, so now I just need to do an install, and then we can start messing around with this one. Currently, if you're curious, the temperatures are, where's this going? This one is going to the middle memory module, 36 degrees on one of the GDDR6 modules. Where's this one going? MOSFET, I think, 38 degrees, which is completely reasonable. And then ambient is about 23. And our last component, backside, or actually two more components, backside PCB 36 degrees, that's opposite the one of the hotter memory modules. It's not doing anything, of course, right now. Okay, so that's installing. So got a comment from Mitch Jeffrey, $2 Australian. Hi from Australia, the land of hardware unboxed. Apparently he's staked claim of it. ZDG, $5. Are you going to test the RMA tracing performance? Just kidding, love the content, GN crew. Good to see you, ZDG. Thanks for sending in the $5. And we'll test RMA tracing performance, I guess, when RMA tracing comes to, we're at day 50 for no RTX, but that's partly contingent on the Windows 10 patch that's supposed to come out to enable a lot of the RTX features because NVIDIA and Microsoft are linked into each other. Norwegian 55 from Veggie. I have an i5 4690K and a GTX 1060. I get 2 to 5 second long lag spikes a lot. What can the problem be? Without knowing more about your configuration, that's, I don't know, check thermals on the CPU and the GPU. You could check, if you're hitting any kind of like thermal threshold, TJ Maxx or something like that, without knowing it, that would cause that. You could be experiencing issues with, I don't know, a DDU and driver reinstall would probably be worthwhile as well. That can happen for a lot of reasons. Graphics quality settings being one of them. Okay, so I don't know what version of Combustor I have on here, but we're gonna try and use it, and then I'll probably change the resolution if I can't see it well enough. All right, so let's do a test with Furmark donut OpenGL. Okay, run stress test. So what we're gonna do is look at the thermocouple readouts I have here. For power, for total system power, just for reference, total system is at 370, which is actually 30 watts lower than it was with the other version of Furmark, so I might have to grab that. And then the component temperatures are heating up. So we're in the 40s and 50s. I'll update you as soon as they get a bit higher. And GPU load's at 99%, so it is working properly. GPU power is at about 98, 99, 100%, so we're good there as well. So everything's doing what it should be so far, just in terms of numbers and running properly. And I need to see if I can grab the proper version of Furmark as well. Furmark. So this is primarily a power virus workload. It's going to stress the power components more than anything, which is what we're most interested in right now. Then we have other tests for memory if we need to go that route. So Furmark, let's download this just to have it in case we need that as well. Oh, there's some artifacting. There you go. So we got some artifacts. So now you can see what it looks like in the very least. So this is, I don't know, can you see that okay on the camera? This is what the artifacting looks like. It's like little XDs, we kind of realized the other day. And we're not sure if there's a pattern to these, but if you're wondering, is this a thermal problem? I mean, it could be, but for all the parts we've probed here, it really does not, there's not an indication that it's a thermal problem. So we hit 60 degrees max on the VRM and 60 degrees on one of the memory modules, just looking at my thermocouple readers here. I don't want to move them because I'm worried it'll suck one of the cables into the fan. And then power max, what was our maximum power? Did we spike? It was 445 watts total system power draw, which is reasonable. We've seen that for known good cards as well. So anyway, there's your artifacting, and it crashed too, to add to that. So that was combustion. Let's see if we can get that to happen one more time in Furmark before I move on to something like, realistic like 3D Mark. So we're gonna run this one, run stress test. I really don't like this version of Furmark, but it seems to be working, so we'll just let it keep going. Everyone's posting XDs in chat instead of Fs. So we got our first artifacting for the night. Let me just post a tweet. First artifacting for the night on the live stream. Watch here. And now what we're going to look for is if we can reproduce it on this card, then if we can reproduce it on other cards, and then what applications cause that issue. And also, if we drop the power and memory, does it survive? So this isn't really a memory. Steve, could it say okay? It could. I don't know if it's supposed to say anything. It might be a null character. It might be a debug code. So we're at 65 degrees right now on, what is this component? Let me see. Where's this thermocouple going? This one is the MOSFET. 60, looks like artifacting. Yep, we hit about 65 on the MOSFET before artifacting, and about 60 on the memory. That's the top side measurement. So the die inside of the module will measure higher than what we can measure outside of it, but 60 is really pretty low. Even if there's a 10-degree delta, that's still within spec, which is about 95C. And just for reference, I've run cards without any, like only a CLC on the GPU, no cooling on the memory, no cooling on the VRM, and I've had memory on 2080 Ti's, excuse me, up to 105 degrees Celsius, the external temperature, case temperature, without any crashing. It's not liking the mouse movement's very strange right now. Probably needs to be restarted after the artifacting. So we've run it pretty damn hot on known good cards. You shouldn't do that, but for purposes of troubleshooting, it did not appear to be just a strict thermal issue. Okay. So I'm just trying to launch Firestrike, and it does not appear to be happy with that decision. I think we're gonna have to reboot. Let's, oh, okay, we can't get the start menu to open up. That's good. Fortunately, oh, now it's freezing. Okay, really unhappy after that. Come on. Really, the whole system is very unhappy with the artifacting that just happened. We get a couple more questions here. Name that I can't read. It's in a different language, but it from looks like your avatar is a penguin, and it says Vitals or Vitals RUB 200. 3 a.m. just went through all the fun of artifacting R9 380. Luckily, it was a software issue. I know you're paying RTX guys. May the force be with you. Well, if you sent one of your cards in, then you've got brethren in chat who are familiar with your pain. Okay, this is really annoying. Like, you see how much I'm moving the mouse, and it's not moving at all on the screen. So we're frozen, clearly. And I was saying just before the stream, it's kind of weird because typically we don't want this to happen during a stream because overclocking streams are normally what we do. But for this one, this is basically what you're watching for. Okay, so Kevin Schaefer, $10. Gamer that loves overclocking, have each of the past 4 gens of Maximus formula boards. After watching the breakdown of the 11 Hero, what would you suggest is best Z390 motherboard for overclocking and gaming? Yeah, I mean the Maximus 11 Hero was not super impressive. It's been surprisingly okay, but for the money, it's really not worth it. I think it's like 300 bucks or something. Buildzoid just did a breakdown of the Gigabyte, one of the high-end Gigabyte boards on his channel, and that one looks pretty good. It's the Gaming 7 or the Gaming 9 equivalent. They've rebranded their entire lineup, but that one looked good, and we have one in as well, the Extreme we just got in to work with, and I haven't done anything with it yet. So that board looks pretty good right now. ASRock Tai Chi's okay. It's a little lackluster. It's average, I guess. Maximus 11 Hero is not great. Haven't worked with the high-end Maximus 11 series boards yet. And then the EVGA Dark is also interesting to me, but we haven't tested that yet either. So the Gigabyte's the only, the Gigabyte Extreme board is the only high-end one that I've actually got here so far, other than the Maximus 11. And Buildzoid's worked with that one. So we're getting some flickering on the screen. And it's running. So let's see how long it runs. The other one ran for a couple minutes. Let's just check on these. So 40 degrees for the backside, 42 GDDR6, 48 for the other module, 48 for the VRM. So we're not in terrible shape for thermals right now. Okay. So we got another chat from $5 from Henry Dufour. Hanging around if you have any questions with my card. Yes, thank you for sending yours in. Yours is definitely in this pile. I used, let's see, I used the DP by itself and not in line with the others. Super happy to see how this ends up. Yes, we have, I mean, I'm interested to see how it ends as well, because the artifacting issues definitely exist. We also know that they aren't supposed to be super widespread, but they are pretty bad when they happen, so we're curious to see what's causing it. 61 degrees is the highest temperature on my thermocouples right now, and that is for the VRM, which is completely within spec. Spec is probably like 125. Okay, so we got $5 tech deals. Hey there, if all else fails, try turning it off and back on again. I'm pretty sure it'll do that itself when it fails. So we're covered on that troubleshooting technique. The cards seem to be pretty good at, oh wow, that's spectacular. That was a good one. I hope, it looked like it was on screen enough. Let me catch up with, I'm just checking the stream playback now to see when you all see the really colorful artifact we just saw. Okay, so what driver are you using? We're using the newest one. This also happens on the previous 2 drivers. And it looks like we're still catching up. I'm just watching the stream back to see what chat says when that artifact pops up. You know, I should screenshot it too, because that was a different one that I've seen. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so there's what we've been dealing with. But to answer the driver question, it's the newest driver, and also happened with the version before this one. The driver did fix blue screen issues, so to NVIDIA's credit, that is largely resolved. I think there's still some blue screens from what those of you emailing me have said, but the main multi-display issues have been partly or largely resolved. Got it. I was just getting a screenshot of the great artifact. Okay, let's tweet that one out. It's ... beautiful. Okay, and then a link to the live stream. Okay. All right, so there's a good artifact for you. What did chat say about this? That artifact was something. RTX on, someone says. Trippin', rainbow tracing. What the F? Press F for fireworks. That's ray tracing. Nah, I don't think that's supposed to be ray tracing. Lots of Fs though. All right, so yeah, there's your example. Someone said she's Dunsky, referencing Kingpin. Perfect. Is there any info from NVIDIA on what is causing this? No, we do not have anything at present. And some people are saying they're getting blue screens occasionally, but not artifacting. Yeah, so it looks a lot like memory artifacting, which is why some of the theories have pointed that direction. What I'm gonna do now, same card, we're just gonna launch that again, except with some kind of monitoring applications in the background. So we can take a look at if the core clock is behaving as expected. I need to change this resolution so I can see what I'm working with. So yeah, we're gonna run frequency monitoring applications. And we can also, I haven't actually done this yet on this card, we can try downclocking the memory and stuff like that and see if the crashing subsides. Because I know that's been something a lot of people have done to resolve some of their issues. Although it's not really a good resolution, it's more of a workaround. All right, time spy extreme, yes, go. Okay, and our temperatures are completely within reason once again. So it does not appear to be thermals on this card. But of course, it could be something I don't have probed. Okay, so we have Kayokatsu Ninja, $2, 3 dislikes, question mark? I guess, I don't know, I guess they're people who are sad about the artifacting. Wishbone, $2, Xbox is having a special event tomorrow, Mexico City. I was not aware of that. I'll look into it and see what it is. We don't really do too much with Xbox, but it is hardware. And the games often are interesting to test anyway. Rottenman, €5. There's a rumor about the issue being the GPU chip itself. Too big tolerances may lead to a chip being too high and ending up crushed by the colors. Yeah, so I am also suspicious of the silicon because that's got memory controllers in it. Wow, clock's not great. That's got memory controllers in it, and those could also be faulty. I think the big die has a total of 12 memory controllers. There are 11 for the 2080 Ti. So those could be defective. It could be memory modules. Could be something completely unrelated, but I would suspect things relating to memory and the die or the memory itself as the primary suspect, just based on what we're seeing. So clocks are a bit low, but not crazy like that 1350 megahertz card we saw. Thermals are within reason, more or less, 71 degrees, so that's okay. So let's give this a chance to fail. And I'm going to keep an eye on the thermocouples this time, hopefully, while it fails, which means it's going to be hard for me to read chat while doing this. So, okay. Andrew, I guess try and get my attention if it flashes so I can check the thermals. Okay, so we got $5. Can you T-pose for 10 seconds, please? You keep trying. And I respect your persistence, but I'm not sure for what reason you need a T-pose. Other than to 3D scan me or something. Just got a FedEx notification that they are picking up another one of these artifacting 2080 Ti's. So we've got more coming in. I don't know how long this one took to blow up last time, but we're at 68 on, I should label these. 68 on whatever this is. This is the VRM, the MOSFET, 68 degrees, completely within reason. Memory, 63. Memory number 2, 60. And then backside of the GPU, backside of the memory module, hottest memory module, 64 Celsius. Completely within reason. Celsius, 23. Celsius, 23. Ambient, 23 Celsius. There you go. Ambient, 23 degrees. So, I don't know, we'll let it go. Let it flicker and freak out again. Did that a second ago. Hopefully this time we can kind of catch some of the behavior. I can look back at the stream at it later. People are saying too many rays and RTX on and festive artifacts. Yeah, so it was all a big Christmas gift by NVIDIA, by the RTX 2080 Ti, and you get green and red flickering. K3, K4, $2.32, very specific. What's your favorite motherboard? I don't really have a favorite motherboard. I enjoy working with the X299 Dark a lot for overclocking. I find it very easy to work with, and it's probably not great for us, as we've been learning tonight, might not be great for stock usage because it is a bit harder to get everything running stock. But I do enjoy it for overclocking usage because it's easy to work with. Also, it's got 4 DIMMs, so 4 DIMM slots. So it makes it a bit easier to overclock memory, but you do lose half of your total capacity potential if you wanted to use it as an actual workstation motherboard. So I like it for different reasons than you might in a production machine. And then the Maximus 10 over here for the 8086K that we're using has been pretty reliable for our GPU benchmark. So that's also been decent to work with. Okay, it's not freaking out this time so far. I think it took a couple minutes last time, so we'll let it keep going for a little bit. Also, it was full screen last time. I wonder if that might have something to do with it. Oh, there it is. Thank you. 70 degrees on the VRM, 68 backside, 68 GPU or memory, and 60 memory. So even if they're plus 10, all of those are within spec. And we got a freeze, not an artifact this time.
It artifacted
Oh,
for
did it?
2 frames.
Oh, it artifacted for a couple frames, Andrew says. An artifact right there. And okay, yep, so this is RTX on. If you've been wondering what it looks like, this is a review status only right now. Only reviewers have this mode. So this is ray tracing. If you close your eyes and think really hard, you might see it. You might live some of your life with ray tracing. And when your life flashes before your eyes, you can say that you've seen it. So there you go. There's an example of the problem again. Why is the RGB lighting on the FE cards disabled by NVIDIA? Because NVIDIA demands everything be green. It did. I talked about that when we reviewed it. It's not green, therefore it's bad. And that's all there is to it. They have an RGB LED in there. They have an RGB controller. They have RGB cabling, but there's no RGB. There's just G, and that's because that's the company color, I guess. You see some cards ship out of the factory with red, which is kind of amusing. I don't know if we can try this again. So it seems to take about maybe 3 to 5 minutes to really mess up on this particular model, this card. Let's just let's drop the memory by like 100 megahertz. And I don't know what kind of memory straps or delta clocks we have for that because I only go up in frequency, not down, but we can give it a shot. And let's run it full screen. It seemed like, I don't know if there's any correlation there or causation, but it seemed to happen a bit more readily full screen. So let's go ahead and run that. Did I do -1? No, I did +100. That's the opposite of what I want. I want -100. I'm not used to going that direction for memory. Okay, theoretically, it is -100. So let's see if that has, if that survives for longer than maybe 5 minutes, we'll give it. I'm not going to sit here and let it run all night stability testing, but we can at least see if there's any ad hoc result. There's a couple super chats and store orders, things like that. So oh yes, right, I've rescaled the monitor. Okay, let me go back up to 4K here. So like I was saying earlier, if you go to store.gamersnexus.net, you can pick up things like our mod mats. If you want to get one before the holidays, you should place an order now because this next, we sell out of them pretty quickly, the rounds. We order these in rounds. And this next round will be here in the first half of December. So you've got some time, but if you wait on it, they might go out of stock again because we can only order so many at a time. And this is going to be the last round we do and get in before end of year. So if you want one of the mod mats soon, you should place an order for this round. You can go to store.gamersnexus.net for that. And now that we're at 4K, let's run this again with a -100 memory underclock. And then also, just to note, the foil shirt is on the store. So the Graph logo foil shirt, it's quad foil. It's got 4 foil colors on it, and it's the one I'm wearing tonight. So that shirt is up for a little bit longer, store.gamersnexus.net if you want to pick that up. And then once this one's gone, it'll probably be gone because it was pretty popular. So we do not expect to have any leftovers on this one. Okay, well, let's see. We're running -100 megahertz now. So we're probably not going to see artifacting as soon, if at all, assuming the posts online are accurate in any way. Let's bring the camera, zoom out a bit, and I'll take some super chats too. Let me just keep that in the corner of the shot or something. Let me know if you see it freak out or something. Okay, so we got a question from Draco Nightwalker, $5 Australian. What if it's heat in a case that's killing these cards? Well, I mean, we're seeing the same issues everyone else is seeing in an open air test bench, and thermals don't seem to be an issue. And I don't have any direct airflow on the card when I'm testing these. So, I mean, the delta is like 10 degrees if you put it in a case. And that's why I've been saying, even with the 10-degree increase, we're still within spec on this specific card. I don't know if that's true for all of them. It could be heat. It could be thermals, but not on this one. It doesn't seem like. Got one from A Bricks C 199. Review of the MSI Seahawk EK X2080 Ti ever. No current plans. We've worked with the Seahawks in the past, the CLC models with the Corsair and MSI combination, and those have always been interesting. So we'll probably try and look at one of those. I don't have any plans to look at the EK model right now. Jose, Ipina, $10. I got a free 2080 Strix. Wow, that's a very large amount of free. I want 4K gaming. Should I sell this one and buy a 2080 Ti or buy another 2080 and go SLI? Wouldn't recommend SLI. We've tested it. We have a video on the channel if you want to see how SLI did with multiple 2080 Ti's. I don't know if we did multiple 2080s, but I mean, it's the same idea where in some games there's just zero scaling. Some games it's 30, 40%. So you feel kind of bad about your purchase at that point. Some of them it scales incredibly well, like Sniper Elite 4. But I wouldn't recommend SLI. So 2080 for 4K gaming is completely doable. And so is the 1080 Ti, by the way. It just kind of depends on your graphic settings and the type of game you're playing. But you'd still definitely do 4K gaming with a 2080. Trying to save you some money here. The 2080 Ti is going to be a bit better, yeah, maybe 30% faster or so, but I don't know. I don't know if that's really worth another couple $100. JW Dickinson, $10. Steve and team, I've sent a few Twitter messages in hopes of getting a beanie made because at least half of the year I can wear it. So yeah, I came up with a mock-up design for those, and we haven't started working on making them yet, but we do have a design that I like, and we just need to figure out how to finalize it and who's going to make it. So we've heard you. I replied to one of your messages, or at least someone who wanted a beanie, and we definitely heard the request. Hidden Shades, $5. I'm sure it's the very loud few, kind of like the coverage. Hey, this mess. You don't need to make your message political when you're talking about video card failures. So making the issue appear much worse than it is. Here's the thing. The issue is very bad for the people who have it. So for them, it is a big deal because they spent $1,200 and their video card doesn't work. So as far as does it affect the entire market, of course the answer is no. And the RMA rate is reportedly pretty low from what the retailers and manufacturers have said. But that doesn't mean the issue doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean the people who are affected will, just roll over about it. So we haven't had artifacting yet with the 100 megahertz memory downclock. takes a couple minutes typically, so we're going to give it a little longer and see maybe at the 8, 9, 10 minute mark, something like that. It is hotter now though. So it's been running longer than previously, which means our sustained temperatures are a bit higher. We're at 72 degrees on the VRM. Let me see if I can rotate this safely. Okay, don't go into the fan. All right, it is rotated. Okay, so which one's which here? Top number is going to this one, and this one is going to the VRM. Okay, big number is the VRM. We're at 68, 69, and the little number in the bottom left, 72 degrees, is the second one, and that's going to the lowest memory module. So this is what I've learned on these cards, is that the memory modules closer to the PCIe slot seem to be the hottest. And that's at 72. But even if you're in a case, you're in the 80s at that point, maybe, plus 10, see if it's a hot case. And I mean, after that, you're still within spec. But this is 100 megahertz downclock. It's just that it's been typically failing before it gets this hot, which to me might indicate a power delivery issue as well. So it could be memory stability, it could be power delivery, not really clear on that. But it is not artifacting right now. So we'll let it run a couple more minutes. I'll take some more super chats, and then we'll try and bring the memory clock back up and see if it artifacts yet again. Okay, so take some super chats, and then we can just leave that in the corner of the video. So we got one from Butthurt Beluga. It's an interesting name you have there. That face when watching GN at work. Also, hi, Steve. Hi, don't get in trouble over watching our stream. The Huntress, $5. There is an NVIDIA forum thread calling out that the first batch of GDDR6 memory was Micron versus RMAs that worked, which came from the second batch from Samsung. So, hardware info. I don't need hard. You can open the cards and see it. To address this again, the memory supply normally comes from multiple vendors. NVIDIA added another vendor. So this isn't, it's like correlation is not equal to causation here. They've added another supplier. We have a dozen RTX cards that are Micron. They don't have issues. Lots of people have Micron memory RTX cards that don't have issues. So Micron chips could have a problem, but NVIDIA hasn't just cut the faucet for Micron. They're still using Micron GDDR6. It's just that Samsung has been added because their memory came online. So all that really does is increase the supply available to make more RTX video cards, and that's what they're doing here. AMD did similar with HBM. NVIDIA has done the same for GDDR5 in the past. So correlation is not equal to causation is what I would say to that one, but it is possible that there could be an issue with some of the Micron memory, especially from the first batch. We just don't know. Kevin Wise, $5. Thanks for the great content. Thank you for watching. Brian Shebak, $5. Fellow IMP, question mark. Did you ever see John's Killer CS PC do the first live stream outdoor overclock tomorrow with the 31-degree Fahrenheit temperatures tomorrow? I am not, I don't think I know who that is. Sounds like they have a live stream going on though. Okay, so I mean, yeah, it hasn't crashed or anything. It hasn't artifacted this time. Thermals are about 70 on the backside, 73 for one of the memory modules, 70 for the VRM, and we'd really have to let this run about 30 minutes to let it reach steady state, but it's going to be pretty close at this point. We're not going to hit a runaway thermal scenario right now. So I would say it's plausible that, and I'll need to do more testing off stream for this, but it's plausible that downclocking the memory has helped here. Now, one thing I've heard from those of you like Commanzo in chat who are sending in cards is that you've had to continually downclock memory into oblivion because over time it seems that the artifacting follows you. So I'm not going to be able to test that on stream, of course, but for power consumption, did it crash? Oh, it just crashed right when I was about to end the test. So let's get an F for that crash, I guess. Power consumption is, was not crazy. It was under 400 watts for total system, which the total system is drawing a lot. So, well, right when I was saying it might make it, it made it farther. It made it further in the test for sure. That doesn't mean anything. It could have been a one-off incident, but it appears that this is still unstable. So not a perfect solution. F in chat for that one, I guess. So it's a VRAM issue. I mean, it could be a VRAM issue, but again, we can't really jump to conclusions like that. It could be a VRAM power delivery too, for all I know. It could be that the memory is running too fast for what it was built for or something. All right. Current clamp, we could, but I'm using a pretty high-end monitor for total system power right now, so we've got a feed going in and out of it. I didn't want to use a current clamp because I know I'm going to be swapping cards. So anyway, this one clearly is defective. This is E1 in our batch. We'll mark that as definitely defective, and I'll do further testing on it. What we should do is swap cards now and see if anything happens with, let me see what the user reported for the Gigabyte card, because I have not tested that one yet. Gigabyte. Artifacting and downclocking helps, according to the user who bought the Gigabyte card we have here. So let's try that one next, because that would be the first non-FE card I've seen with artifacting, and that would be an important data point. The rest are all FE that I've worked with. That's so hot. Yes. You know it's over 60 degrees if you can't touch it for more than like 3 seconds. That's how you read temperatures. Okay, so we've got our thermocouples here. These are going away with the card. I'm not going to transplant them right now. And we're going to switch to Gigabyte next. Where is it? Here's our pile of cards, or at least some of them anyway. We have a couple more out there. Do a driver clean and reinstall, and then we'll be ready to run this one. I'll take some super chats while going through this. Okay. Display. All right, there we go. So that's booting up. Okay, so we got Brian Shebeck got you. Angel Flute, New Zealand, $5. Thank you. Thanks to those that pre-ordered against the advice of GN and did the beta test, now we can buy the revised ones. Have you visited New Zealand, Steve? Yeah, I mean, pre-ordering is definitely a beta test. We generally, for things like a $1,200 video card, generally recommend not doing it. But I have not visited New Zealand. I've been, the closest I've been, which is still quite far, is Taipei. And I did, one year I looked to see how long is the flight from Taipei to New Zealand, because I was like, oh, well, it's, I mean, they're both on the other side of the world. And it turns out it's really long. So I have not been, but I do want to go for some mountain biking. Axios, $2, thank you. The 0 and X sound like a hex prefix in C. Debug question mark. Yeah, I don't know. It might be. It could be. If it's like a 0x for those artifacts. It looks like an XD sometimes. That is a good point, though. It could be a debug and might mean something in a lookup table or something for the person who built it. Okay, so all I'm doing is cleaning and reinstalling drivers just for safety here. I mean, it's wise to do different device IDs despite being the same model. Should always install clean drivers and reinstall them for every card swap, even if it's the same model card. Next one. Norwegian 50 from Newbie. This artifacting is kind of common in the mining community on 1080 Ti's at 11,992 to 11,999 effective mem clock. Low temperatures, 60 C. Well, I mean, it's, I don't know. I don't know anything about that kind of workload. I guess it's memory intensive. But the question I would have is that happening on the 20 series? I guess that's what I would want to know. Clean and restart. Okay. Seville SA, 199. I own the 11 Hero, 5.2, all love it. VRM gate fake news. It's pretty objective, the quality of the VRM on it. I ran the, if we're talking clocks, I ran the 11 Hero at 5.4 briefly on the 9900K and 5.3 all. So yes, it does sustain the clocks pretty well. The problem with it is more the pricing and the marketing, because it was marketed as an 8-phase, which it is not, and the price is very high. But the board itself seems to be pretty okay. It's just that at the price, we wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It's a bit of a hike for what you're getting VRM wise. All right, so that's rebooting. I'll do a driver install there. Got a store order. So if you pick something up on the store tonight, as always with our streams, I'll try and shout you out. No guarantees, but I'll definitely try to shout out the things you buy, where you're from, stuff like that, first name. So we got one from Sam, who actually sent us one of these video cards. Sam, you know I am sending you something for free because he loaned us a card, right? You don't have to buy things, but we appreciate it. So Sam purchased one of the limited edition foil graph logo shirts, like this one here, the cotton shirt. So this is a completely custom made shirt. We designed it ourselves. It's got our fitment. It has our foil request. We had to get a different supplier for that. And really well fitted shirt. So I'm pretty happy with it. The cotton is super comfortable for the material we chose. So you can pick that up on the store until it runs out, and then it's gone forever. All right, install driver. So thank you, Sam, for picking one of those up. Much appreciated. And I don't know, let me see. I don't have your card yet. And I do see that you emailed me earlier, so I'll check that out to see if you're sending your card in as well. So we got John from the US, Connecticut. John picked up the anniversary edition mug. Thank you for picking that up. The anniversary mug has been a pretty steady one for popularity. So that, it's a Lazy Susan. Andrew, I found something we can use for your product B-roll shots. So it works pretty well, actually. So yeah, anniversary 15-ounce ceramic mug on the store. If you want to pick that up on store.gamersnexus.net, and I'll try and shout you out for picking these up during the stream. Thank you, John, for your order. We appreciate it. The purchases always help us with doing live streams because they're a lot of extra work that we don't typically do, because I still have to upload videos for the day in addition to live streaming, in addition to filming videos. So it absolutely helps to buy stuff on the store when we're streaming to help us keep going. All right, so we're going to do another install, driver install. And this one's a Gigabyte card. I haven't tested this one. I haven't confirmed if it artifacts, but the user says it does. And in their system, they were able to improve the artifacting. Where's my G1? Is this one? They were able to improve the artifacting by downclocking the memory. And I believe by offsetting the power. I don't know if one of the users offset their power negative as well, and that helped, which is a workaround, not a fix, but interesting to know. Okay, so installing drivers. Let me check on chat. Not even super chat. Just what's someone says he found a use for the bricked 2080 Ti. Yes, that is what we definitely did. That's an expensive coffee cup heater. Yes, $1,200 heater for your coffee cup. Runs up to about 70 degrees Celsius. Not available on our store. We're not reselling these. That's why we wanted them all on loan from you all, so he could turn them into heaters. Winter is coming, after all. Okay. Feels like the RTX series for now is like a hardware loot box. No software to test, no real temperatures due to not fully used, and now randomly breaks. Yeah, the temperature thing's interesting because once RTX is implemented, I am curious to see what is the power and thermal impact from. We're going to disable G-Sync just in case that's a cause. I can't see anything at this resolution. So yeah, I'm curious to see with the RT cores in use, how will that impact power and thermals against the standard card as it is tested today. Okay, drivers installed. You're going to restart one more time just to make sure they stick. At least it works as a coaster. How will the foil hold with washes? So we've got notes. We also ship it with a card with notes on how it holds as it washes. So we've got that one. The previous foil shirt came out a couple months ago, sold out really fast, and it was highly popular, hence making the new one. So that one, I've got several of them that I've worn, I don't know, There's one I've probably worn like 30 times. It's holding up just fine. So what we do is we recommend low spin, cold wash. Hand wash is best if you feel like it. Definitely recommend hand washing. But if you want to throw it into just a laundry bag and run it cold, low spin, and then ideally hang to dry, it's the heat that hurts foil. So if you hang to dry, it's fine. If you have to use a dryer, low tumble, low heat is the best way to do it. But definitely by hand is the best. If you don't feel like it, we understand. There are notes on the store on how to best take care of the foil. And this one is interesting because it's like a way bigger sections of foil instead of the smaller ones of the anniversary design shirt. So it holds up even better to washing, dry, and just make sure you do follow the instructions as closely as you can. Pretty easy though. And that's generally, you should flip inside out for any shirt with a design on it anyway, foil or not. Those are just the best instructions for taking care of shirts with designs on them. Okay, so we're gonna start with, let's start with Furmark. Just keep the same order as we did last time for the card that was failing a second ago. And I'm gonna set it to the furry donut test. And we're just gonna keep an eye on this. So we've got the Gigabyte card in there now. And I have not tested this one, as I said, so I don't know when or if it will artifact for us. So this will allow you to see the genuine spurious behavior of the RTX series, in that some of them seem to artifact and some seem to just have really unpredictable behavior. So we're going to let that go for a little bit. The last time it took maybe 2-3 minutes, something like that, to blow up. That was with a different card, though, just for note. Christopher Wyatt. Limited edition foil shirt. Thank you very much for purchasing one of those. I need to get back to super chats too. Super chats. So we're gonna keep an eye on that. Got one from Doctor Who 8675309. I remembered it this time. $2. GN teddy bear and GN pajamas. When? Why is that so popular? PS, great work. Thank you. No current plans. DTRCS $2. RTXDX on, and then blank off. And I think that was in response for the XDs we saw with the artifacting. Name I can't read as it is typed in another language. $4.99. Coil wines of 2080 Ti when Furmark. Mine is crazy. There's a bit of coil wine on some of these cards, but I don't hear any on this one right now. But I haven't heard anything completely insane yet. I've also not used them for prolonged periods of times other than when doing thermal testing. So kind of limited endurance testing of these cards. Exeus had one. Where'd it go? Exeus, get a stack trace when you crash. Bet it's software. I can work with you on that later, perhaps. James Case, $100. Wow, thank you, James. Keep up the great work. We will definitely keep testing. David Joshi, $5. Have the EVGA cards exhibited artifacts too? Actually, I have 2 EVGA cards I've worked on. One of them had a mode of failure we're not going to talk about yet because we need to validate a few things. But one had a unique mode of failure we haven't seen anywhere else. And one of them, and EVGA is taking care of the customer with that card. And the other one was, what was it? Oh, there were 3 actually. One was locked to 1350 megahertz, and we did a video on that. And then one was BSODs. BSODs are solved. I think that might be yours actually. BSODs were solved by the driver for the most part. And then 1350, we might have a solution for that one now. We've been talking with EVGA, so we might have a solution on that one. And the other one, the third mode of failure that we're not talking about yet, there is no solution for ever. But we'll talk about that perhaps later after it's been diagnosed further. So no, the answer is no. No artifacting yet on the EVGA cards. The clock freeze was the worst one we've shown thus far, and that's not artifacting. It's a different issue. Okay, $5, a lazy meme. What you do is appreciated by the community. Thanks for the information and content you provide us. Oh, thanks for the interest. It looks like we froze. Thank you, Andrew. So what was our maximum power for this one? 445 watt total system power, which is about where they tend to sit. So that's actually not unreasonable. Application crash. And it's trying to recover. Mouse is frozen now. So that's the Gigabyte card. Black screens, just killing the application in the background probably. Let's see if it recovers. I'm gonna leave it alone. See if it comes back on its own. So that is the Wind Force. This is a reference PCB as well. This is basically, for all intents and purposes, all of these cards are NVIDIA cards. These cards, EVGAs, reference PCBs, NVIDIA GPU obviously. NVIDIA sells them the memory, it's Micron. Reference PCB, obviously reference PCB. The Gigabyte card in there now that just crashed, reference PCB. That could be software though. There's no guarantee that the one we just saw is a hardware level defect. Didn't see any visual artifacting, just a crash, which does not occur, I'll note, on our 12 or so RTX cards that we have for review samples. None of those do that. They all made it through 30-minute long firmware torture tests. So it's unique behavior to the ones that were sent in by users who purchased, unfortunately, defective cards. Although that, again, that could be software, but or drivers, new driver maybe. So Firestrike's not wanting to launch. Last time this happened, I had to restart, so I might have to restart again. Let's just put that back there. Okay, we're gonna have to restart. It is not, and I don't have to start menu again. That's nice. Okay, and I can't right click. Exact same behavior as last time. Right click it and it dies. Okay, restart. All right, we got a couple store orders to read off. Thank you. As I said, if you go to store.gamersnexus.net during the stream, I'll try to shout your purchase out, where you're from. And we very much appreciate it. It helps us do these streams because they are different types of setup involved. Anthony from Washington purchased a Raglan hoodie. Thank you. Good timing on that with the cooler weather coming up. If you want a lightweight hoodie for winter, actually we've got thicker ones for winter coming out or already out on the store too. If you want either of those, they're on the store though. And then we got one from Chris in Oregon who purchased a limited edition foil graph logo shirt. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so we're back up. Crashed on firmware. Let's do time spy now. So we validated one card was not producing immediate issues. We might switch back to that one later. One card was had very severe artifacting, and then this one we're still, it's TBD. What's going on? So let's run that. And I'm going to do more diagnostics off stream, but I just wanted to walk through the basics of validating the failures on all of them with you all so you can see what's going on. Super chats. Neo Snake Gaming, $2. The artifact reminds me of a bad DDR overclock. Yes, it's very similar to a bad GDDR overclock as well, like too high or you missed the memory strap. Irish Giant, $2. What CPU are you using? It is not the 7980XE. That one is in the other room. Hopefully we can rerun it through tests because we need to get a machine back up and running for a RipJ revisit soon. Probably work on that next week maybe. All right, so it's running. Got, this is an 8086K though to answer the question. ZDG, $5. RTX Rainbow Texture FX on. Yes, it was very, very rainbowed earlier. I tweeted that one out. If you want to, if you missed it, if you joined the stream and you missed it, you can go to twitter.com/gamersnexus. You don't need an account, I don't think. And you can see the image I tweeted earlier of some artifacting on, I think it was this card back here, where this one is still warm, by the way. This one was rainbowing a bit, so it had some visual artifacts, looked like memory artifacting. Tweeted out an example of that if you want to see it. And it's festive artifacts, people are saying about that one. It just works, yes. Yes, it does. Hey Steve, it's Bobby. Have you gotten to my card yet? Let me see which one yours is. Not sure. I will have to look. I'll have to look through my list of people who've sent them in. Assuming you are also named, if you're Robert, then I might have. Let's see, which one is that? F1, where's F1? F1 is out here somewhere. Oh, there it is. F1 might be the first, if you are Robert and you purchased a Founders Edition card, then we worked on this one earlier. So on stream, at the beginning of the stream, I was having difficulty reproducing artifacting in any quick capacity, got impatient, switched it. In the lab, we have reproduced artifacting issues, and actually the biggest issue was artifacting during a driver install and inability to install drivers. So that was the bigger issue with this one. I'll have to revisit it, but it was not spitting out horrible errors today. And if you're not Robert, then I have a lot of other cards, so I need to look through the list. Okay, so that's still running. It froze with Furmark earlier. We're just going to see if it survives a bit longer in Time Spy. It seems to die right when I want to give up on it. But this is a Gigabyte card, so it's a bit out of the norm for what we're seeing, since most of them are Founders Edition. Got a super chat from Open90, $2. Windows flashes a few times before booting. I'm not sure. If it does, I didn't catch it. Or are you saying yours does that? Message unclear. It could be a DisplayPort cable issue if it's yours, or if it's ours for that matter. I roll ones, $5. Hey Steve, love the work. What's your dream PC current gen, or what would you like to come out sometime in the future? I mean, I'm looking forward to benchmarking the 9980XE, because I guess at this point my idea of a dream PC is a system on this bench platform over here with the 540mm radiator on it, and the crazy liquid setup, and then putting the radiators in an ice bucket. That's kind of my version of a dream PC right now. So 9980XE, once that comes out, will be a lot of fun for that. Okay, so we're still waiting for a failure on this particular card. And we got a couple of super chats. Actually, let me check on normal chat for a bit too. So what's chat say? Indiana Jones artifact found. 4.5 gigahertz on 2700X is easy, but don't put any workload on it or it blows up. Okay, yeah, I mean, 4.5 isn't easy if you put it under workloads of any kind. You are still out of Adam Schubin, $5. Still out of 3X teal logo shirts in tri-blend. If we don't, we might have some in cotton, and we definitely have, actually, we have a lot of 3X left. Most of our stock left on this shirt is 3X. So if you really want 3X, we definitely have 3X of this one and some 4X of this one. And then if we don't have 3X on the tri-blend teal logo, I'll take a look and see if we can place some for our next order. We do try to get most of the sizes. So this one is extra small to 4X. Sometimes we go up to 5X on some of the other ones. Let's see. Is this Linus Tech Tips? No. It's over there. I think they're probably streaming right now too. Build a ghetto Linus chiller. We did our own version of a chiller, and it was an ice bucket, like an 80-quart cooler filled with ice, water, and radiators. So that was our version of it. How's it going? You done? Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. All right. So we have this one seems to be working better than the previous one. So this particular card is not exhibiting the same type of artifacting failure as the others in the sort of few minutes we're testing them here today. Now, once I put it under an overnight workload or an hour-long workload, that might change. But it is looking better than the previous cards. Power draw is reasonable as well. It has not passed the previous peak of 445 watts. So it looks okay. It froze in Furmark, but no artifacting to be found yet. Let's switch cards. This is the Gigabyte one. And like I said, there could definitely be problems with this. The user certainly had problems with it. But we'll have to test it further offline. Let's do, have I tested this one? D1. I don't know if I've tested that one. Let me give it a shot though. That back plate again, very hot, but that means it's doing its job. You want the back plate to be hot, because if it's not, then that means there's no contact between the back plate and the components on the back of the PCB. So let's try D1. Can't see from this side. All right. Actually, we don't even need that. Just need some PCIe cables. This one, like I said, I'm not sure if I've tested this one, but I probably have notes on what the error was for the owner. Okay. And we're just going to see if we can produce similar artifacting on these. So if nothing else, you get to see a representation of what your peers in the gaming community are running into with their various cards. That's all connected, good to go. Okay. I need to catch up on, I see someone correcting people on Linus's name, saying it's Canadian Ruble Miser Linus. Couple of store orders, thank you. So we got one from Kevin in South Carolina, actually, not too far, who purchased one of the blue and white mouse pads that we have, which I don't have one next to me here, but we do have some though. We've got the black and blue ones made and coming in, or actually in the process of being made, I should say. But thank you, Kevin, for picking up one of those on the store. We appreciate it, of course. And that card's booted, so I need to do a DDU again and install drivers and see if this one produces artifacts like the E1. E1 is the worst one we've had so far. So, and I've been in contact with all the owners about their cards. So if you have one sent in to me and I'm working on it tonight, you probably don't know which letter, like what I've labeled it, but I'll let you know what we find as we find stuff on the cards. And then you'll probably be RMAing some of these, I would imagine. What I'm curious about is how the RMA process is going for people. Okay. Now 2080 Ti cards won't have problems with multi-monitor setups. What about the dead cards and those stuck at 1300 megahertz? So the ones stuck at 1350 megahertz, dead cards, we don't know. You probably have to RMA those. At least that's what I'm hearing. So it's artifacting, or if it's genuinely dead, then probably have to RMA it. I know Sam, who might be in chat still, had an issue where his was just continually degrading. He had to keep downclocking the memory to a point where it's just not usable anymore. So that's one where it'll have to be RMA'd probably, and we'll see if we can reproduce that issue. As for the 1300 megahertz card, from everyone I've spoken to who works at these companies, no one else has been able to reproduce that issue and not solve it with a BIOS flash. I think we might have a fix for that one. I got a new vBIOS in, and I need to validate a bit more, but it does look like it's been solved with a new, not special, but just a new release vBIOS. I'm not sure if anything changed in there, or if just rewriting it with a different BIOS than the previous version maybe helped, I don't know, unscrew the power. I think it was a power delivery measurement issue, like the hardware monitor on the power circuitry might be misreading how much power is going into it, so it's downclocking. Don't know. That's our hypothesis on it, but we'll see. That card might be fixed. I don't know. Okay. Who did I stop on previously? Oh yeah, we got Kevin's order. Got another order in from Adam. Thank you, Adam. From Alabama. Purchased a foil logo shirt as well. Thank you for grabbing one of those. Like I said, we're very happy with these shirts. They are super comfortable. A couple other super chats. I'm trying to figure out where I left off. So we got one from, I'm just going to go with Bitals for your name, because that's what your avatar says. RUB400, thank you. Did you try to pull vBIOS from problematic cards and compare MD5 with known good images from archives like Tech PowerUp? Unlikely, but possible. That is something that I'm doing. I'm collecting vBIOS from all the cards. I haven't looked at them yet, but we have them. We have serial numbers, we have vBIOS. I'm starting to collect serial numbers on the memory modules and some of the ICs. So between all that stuff, we've definitely got it stored. It's just a matter of figuring out what to do with it. That's always the hard part with a lot of data. It burns when internet protocol. It burns when IPs. $10, thank you. Says, I have noticed that my 2080 Ti has to have underclocks on the core or it crashes with various errors, usually bad pool caller in most games, and driver update didn't work, but memory clock doesn't change it. Very interesting. So I haven't messed with underclocking the core yet, but I will keep that in mind if memory underclocks don't fix or work around issues on some of these cards that we have. But good to know, thank you. Also, unfortunate that you're dealing with it. Probably go through the RMA process if it persists. Synergizer, $5. Are those RTX cards powered by a ... 7980XE? No, powered by an 8086K. So you've been hoisted on your own petard for that one. We will be working with the 7980XE again soon enough. Installing drivers on D1, one of the FE version 2080 Ti's. JW Dickinson, $10. You did respond to one of my tweets about a beanie, but in modern day internet, I don't know if you were trolling me. To hear from you directly reassures me that one might be purchasable soon. Yes, generally if we're talking about potentially making a product, we're serious about it. So no, I don't think it'll be soon, but it takes a while to design, get samples, and then make the product. But we will make them. Okay, driver install for another FE card. See how this one does. Let me check the normal chat for a little bit. Still rocking a 6700K, not going to upgrade for a while yet. A 6700K is perfectly fine. We still have it in one of our test benches. Not for GPUs, but we have it. How do we know GN did not break these video cards? I don't know. Would I go spend $10,000 on cards and then intentionally break them? Does that seem like a realistic scenario to you? I got emails from all the people who sent them in, their addresses, their serial numbers, their own photos and screenshots of all the problems they've experienced, their total debug history of working on it. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I can certainly tell you I didn't spend multiple thousands of dollars on cards that I then intentionally broke. While also posting all over the internet under different aliases for a month straight in different languages. That's how good I am. It's a big ruse. First, I learned how to speak 10 different languages. Then I spent $20,000 on video cards, broke them, and then I did the impossible and endured Reddit long enough to make multiple accounts with upvote histories and then post about my dead card. That's what I did. All right. See ya. Thank you. Okay, so wonderful plan, Steve. Yes, I came up with it just now. Thank you. Okay, so driver's been reinstalled. And my screen blanked out here for a second. Okay, so driver for this is good to go. Hashtag rip Der Bauer. Der Bauer is not going to be ripped by our overclocking anytime soon. Okay. Firmark, I guess. Do it in the same order. So you've got a couple cards left here, but we've tested most of them. Furry donut test. 4K. Run stress test. All right. See if it artifacts. Give it a couple minutes. Steve, can you walk on liquid metal? Surface tension's pretty high on liquid metal. Let's see. John's 2 pence, 5 GBP. Thank you. My MSI 2080 Trio appears to be voltage limited. Power hits 85%. I set curve to run 1.093 volts to get max 2000 megahertz stable. Is it bad silicon? Oh, nice. Okay, I need to make a note. D1 is very bad. Okay. I make a note on D1. Oh, I already had a note, and it said very bad artifacts, even with new driver, which is what I was about to type. So this is a card that came in from a user in Kentucky, and there's only one of those. So if you're watching, you know who you are. I'll follow up with you as we look at this one further. But if you're watching, we did manage to reproduce the issue you described in email. I like the, nope, it's gone. I was going to say I like the lightning strike, just like in the thumbnail for this live stream. And it's gone. I give it a minute, see if it comes back. It's trying. Couple tweets from people saying they're seeing this happen on their 2080s. Now, just as a reminder, no guarantee this is a widespread issue, but it is an issue, and it does exist. So if you're skeptical of that, high score GN, XD, XE, XD, XD in chat. Yes, I suppose instead of Fs, you can now submit XDs, because that's what we got. Lots of XDs. That card is bad. I would say so. Steve, are all of these at stock speed, or are they power target increases? These are stock. I installed the drivers after I put the card in, and I ran a test. And we've been doing that with TimeSpy as well, which is a gaming test. This is gone. So this is not coming back. And the card's not even hot. So unless there's poor contact between a component that we can't measure without putting thermocouples on it, I question whether it's a thermal issue. Just if you missed it earlier, we had this card in a bit ago. It's got thermocouples everywhere. It has them on memory modules. It's got them on the VRM components. Has it on the back of the PCB. That's what all those wires are. And nothing indicated a thermal issue on this card. Now, I didn't probe every single component, so I could have missed one that is getting hot. But we presently have no data to support that it is an overheating issue on these cards, which is what it was largely postulated earlier in the week. TimeSpy, I guess. See if we can reproduce the issue in a realistic workload. Is it a normal BIOS? Yes, we have not made any changes to vBIOS, and we've verified that they are on the stock vBIOS, except for one that we flashed with an update that was shown in a previous video. Okay, TimeSpy Extreme, let it go. Looks more like a skull with bones under it. Yeah, I was thinking skull with crossbones, XD, OK, something like that. Null character, don't know. That one's going to need 5 or 6 rebakes. Yes, we will downclock. People are asking about that. We'll do that. This is a good candidate to downclock on because it failed so fast. OK. A couple store orders, thank you. As I said, those help us do the live streams because these are a lot of extra setup that we don't normally do. And I still had to film 2 videos today and stuff to do more after this. So very helpful for the store.gamersnexus.net purchases during the stream. Joseph from Florida picked up a limited edition graph foil shirt. Thank you, Joseph. And Gustavo from Florida also picked up a limited foil shirt. So if you see each other, then you know you bought it during the same stream. So no failures yet in TimeSpy Extreme. It's only been going for like 30 seconds. We'll give it a bit longer. Artifacting should be pretty apparent in this one if it happens. Another store order just came in, I'll read out. Andre from Michigan picked up a limited foil shirt as well. Thank you, Andre. So let me see, how's the stock on those doing? And then I need to also read some super chat, some normal chat, all that stuff. Damn, that's like 10K in video cards on that table. Yes, but most of them don't work. So they have no inherent value. That they need to be RMA'd by the owners once we're done working with them. And we very much appreciate those of you who have sent them in on loan so we could, I mean, just seeing that this is a problem that exists helps a lot because up until I could see it personally, you see a lot of Reddit posts and kind of question like, okay, did that user do something wrong? Is it their fault? And it's not. So that was helpful to get the cards to just kind of validate that point. You never know with internet internet posts and issues. So what's stock looking like? We have 0 large left on this shirt. So large is gone. We've got a couple medium. We have a couple small, a couple extra small. Those are extra small is very unpopular, but they do sell through. So a couple extra small, medium. We have 1 XL left of the foil graph logo shirt. So there's 1 XL on store.gamersnexus.net, 0 2X, and then we've got the most 3X and actually a couple 4X as well. So those sizes are still in stock. We have a lot more 3X. No artifacts yet. Artifacted pretty bad in Furmark, which might indicate power delivery, but we really don't know without looking more closely at it. What's our power consumption at? We are at total system draw 340 watts, which is not that high, but not abnormal for Time Spy Extreme. That's total system draw. That's not just the GPU. And then we've got a couple super chats I'll take. Oh yes, the question about the 2080 Trio being voltage limited and power hits 85%. So if you're saying that you have it set to stock 100% and it's stuck at 85%, that sounds like there's a problem with the card. Try DDU, the driver, and reinstall it first, just in case, something simple like that. And if you're setting a curve to run it, oh, nice. I think this happened last time I was reading your question. Man, that's a really good one. I need to go to the stream and try and screenshot it when it comes through. Okay. So, I don't know. We get some XDs in chat, maybe. Are those XDs again? Yes. Same symbol. Is the GN Discord Patreon only? Yes, it is. What sizes do you have for dragons? Unfortunately, we don't have any dragon shirts right now. If it's in high demand, we can look into it. I'm just getting a screenshot from the live stream so I can tweet that one out. So what card is this? This is card D1. Card D1, very bad artifacting in Time Spy Extreme and Furmark. Okay. And I'll tweet out the link to the live stream too and then get back to the chats. So if you have a comment about what just happened there, post it in chat, and by the time I look at it, it should be scrolling through. Live stream for artifacting here. Now let's look at chat. Screen's still black, by the way. This card seems to do that after it artifacts. It seems to go black. So I think what I need to do is probably put thermocouples on that one just to validate that one. I still say it's the original Space Invader. It does look like Space Invaders. You are right. Two different apps, same artifacting symptom. Isn't that weird in itself? Not necessarily. Not if it's the same problem. GN is discriminating against dragons. Hey man, send your dragon measurements in and we'll look into making clothes for it. Or for you, if you are a dragon. Sorry. RTXD on. Press D for artifacting. Pirate skulls, maybe. Yes, that is one of the things we were discussing as a possibility. Came here for artifacting and was not disappointed. Unless you were looking for literal artifacts, in which case you'd be very disappointed. Looks like Space Invaders. Are these not just a small percentage of models that are bad in every launch? So, yes, that is a point I've been trying to make over and over tonight. I saw another question about the 1350 card. I'll try and remember. But to the point of is it a small percentage of models, the answer is yes. As far as we are aware, this isn't like a widespread issue. I have, I'll say it again, about a dozen RTX cards between 2070, 2080, 2080 Ti. None of them have done this. So we have no present in-house models that did this. All of them are on loan. And I had to solicit them and ask online for people to send them in. So I would say we still have a lot of them here. I'm impressed by the amount we were able to get. Is it a widespread issue? The answer is probably no, but we don't have a way to confirm that. And as for what's causing the issue, or does it happen on every launch, the answer is we don't know what's causing it yet. We're looking at them. Does it happen on every launch? Every launch has bad cards, but this specific failure is either not something that's happened typically or at this, I want to say large of a scale, but it might not even be a scale thing in terms of numbers sold. It might just be that it's a scale thing in terms of money spent. $1,200, you're probably more likely to complain if it doesn't work. So, especially if the RMA is somehow not satisfactory for you. So it could be a bit of sample bias here. And that's why we're not saying this is like, the widespread issue was fixed. That was the BSODs. Multi-monitor, G-Sync, high refresh, those are all BSOD issues, all cards affected. This does not appear to be a widespread issue. So just try and temper your expectations there. But you know, I think people would be rightfully upset if it's $1,200, it doesn't work, and they can't get a return quickly. But from what I've heard, the returns are going fairly well. If that's not true for you, let me know, and I'll look into it. So it's still black screen. Power draw is at 170 watts right now, total system, which is actually very high. That would indicate that it's still doing things. So just reset it. And that's card D1. That one seems very unhappy. Oh, the 1350 megahertz card. Someone asked if I looked at the shunts. And the 1350 card appears to be, I mean, I can't see any physical hardware defects on it. But we do have a potential fix for it, and it's probably vBIOS related. So I'll talk more about that later once I confirm it. Okay, let's do this. Let's let this run one more time, at least with an underclock of some kind, just to see if that helps. Do you know how long it took to freak out? A couple minutes, maybe? Furmark was faster. So let's do Furmark just because it freaks out faster than Time Spy. And I'm going to run 3840, 2160. Okay. So let's do minus 100 on the memory. This one died almost instantly last time. And then I'll try a downclock on the core as well. So we'll just watch that for a second. And see if it freaks out just like last time. We've downclocked the memory, which is what some people have said helps. And the owner of this card also said artifacting. So it looks like our findings are aligning with theirs. So yeah, this one doesn't take too long if it is gonna freak out. Did he answer my question about why a failing GPU shows XD, XO, and XD? We actually don't know. I don't know if it's like a hex debug code. I don't know if it's a skull and crossbones. I don't know what it means. Null character. But it happens on all of them, so it's cool, I guess. At least you can recognize it. Okay. So, there it is. Okay. So once again, freaking out with this time Furmark and 100 megahertz memory underclock. So I don't know. We can try a bigger underclock or a core underclock next. That would probably be the next thing to look at. Yeah, let's downclocking the memory will also downclock the IMC. Yes, that is. Well, I mean, it downclocks the memory controller on the GPU die. Yes. Not quality, it's quantity. Okay. What exactly are you doing right now? We have a stack of video cards that our viewers sent in on loan, and they noted that they are defective in some way. And so the concern was largely either BSODs, which have been mostly fixed with a driver update, or it is related to artifacting, which you just saw. And the artifacting is the one we're looking into. So we're trying to figure out how many of these do the artifacting. I've already looked at a bunch of others. We have a bunch of them. We got more coming in from viewers and readers. And So we're in the reproduction process of trying to figure out if these issues are something we can find on the cards that others have seen. And then once we validate that the issue exists on the card, on our hardware, and we've tried on multiple platforms now, the next step is to try and figure out if there's a common thread between them. So without like a 3D X-ray scanner, we can't root cause down to silicon, but we can at least see, I don't know, is there a common thermal problem? And what's realistically going to happen is we're more likely to rule out things that aren't the case than find the exact case. So thermals were largely stated as the problem online, and it seems that that may not be true, because we've run cards with no heatsink, except for on the GPU, and the memory was at 100 degrees, and it didn't artifact. So that's a one-off, but the point is that anecdotal one-off shows that it's not just some switch that flips, and that card was never exceeding with a cooler on it, I think 80 or something like that. So that's what we're looking at, though. Now the next step is to do another underclock on the core of the memory or something like that. Is artifacting typically software or hardware? So typically, if you're overclocking is the best example, because if you're overclocking, you might push the memory too high and you'll see artifacting. So that would be kind of hardware that's been driven too hard. And we want firmware, just because it fails faster. It fails in time spy extreme too, but it takes a little longer. Okay, so let's go with that. And we're gonna, let's just stick with the memory theme for now. How far down can I drag this slider? Minus 1,000. Okay, let's maybe not go that hard. Let's do minus 400. Next thing will be the core and then power. It's kind of amusing. We don't normally do tests of can we get the hardware stable. We do how unstable can we make it while still getting a score. I need to tweet this image out. It's pretty good too. Nick Light from Linus Tech Tips tweeted, "Activate Windows, got 'em," referring to their own comments. If you are wondering why we're running not activated on this system, I would refer you to their video, because the answer is these test systems get blown away all the time, so they don't live very long. Someone said, referring to the XD artifacting, they said, that looks like some hotel wallpaper. It actually kind of does. Couple store orders, thank you. I need to do super chats next, but let me get the store orders first. So Gary from Washington purchased one of the shirts. Oh, we got a failure. Okay, that's minus 400 on the memory. Seems to be about the same time for failure. Power draw is still quite high, so it's still processing. Did not exceed our previous peak. So power draw is not crazy here. And the artifacts follow the mouse if you care when you move it around. Did GN ever do the dry ice overclocking stream? No, but we have a plan for that. We're just kind of waiting on something. So waiting on some hardware. Maybe next week. Okay, no, it's not wallpaper, it's Space Invaders. Yes, it's actually an Easter egg. Are we there yet? We just got there again. So I don't know, I guess minus 1,000, see if it does it again, and if not, we can try minus on the core. Let's do same test. So same exact test. Just drag that all the way down. If it'll even run like that. Run test. Okay. So like I was saying, we had Gary from Washington purchased something from the store. Thank you, Gary. That helps sustain our live streams. As I said, extra effort to do these, so we very much appreciate the direct support. Darshan from Ontario picked up one of our anniversary mugs. Thank you for picking that up. Oh, and also a cobalt blue teardown logo, the pint glass. So we've got those beer glasses as well. And they have been consistently popular. A couple more store orders to read before super chats. And I'll keep an eye on that firmware run. We're minus 1,000 offset on the memory right now. So we're just trying to see if that improves stability. Minus 500 did not. Minus 100 did not. Markson from Texas picked up a GN keychain. Thank you. Much appreciated. Aaron from Washington also purchased one of the foil logo shirts, the graph shirt, the remaining few we have. Matthew from Portland picked up a shirt as well. Oh, not a foil one though, because it's large and we're out of large. It was the anniversary edition teal logo, the non-foil, the tried and true teal logo shirt. Okay, so we're still waiting on a failure for this one. I got interrupted twice on the super chat. Let me try it one more time. Maybe it'll trigger a failure. The MSI Trio. God damn it. I think all I have to do is read John 2 Pence's super chat and it'll cause these to fail. So invalid testing. Same super chat, killing all cards. It's all your fault. I keep trying to answer your question about the 2080. I'll get it eventually. I mean, I don't know. Clearly, this is just going to black screen again. I'm going to leave it alone for a minute and see if it comes back. It seems to be gone once it artifacts, though, this particular card. So that one's pretty bad. That was a minus 1,000 on the memory. So not conclusive, not like extremely hard testing, but kind of ad hoc testing for tonight on stream. Need to look into... Is it overclocked? No, it's massively underclocked. It's probably worse than a 1080 Ti right now. Maybe not that bad, but it's getting there. I need to underclock the core next and maybe drop power. Okay, while that's black screened, let me answer a couple super chats because the super chats apparently trigger failures. If you want to make it fail, you just send one in apparently. So John's 2 pence, once and for all, $5, thank you. My MSI 2080 Trio appears to be voltage limited, power hits 85%, set the curve to run 1.093, 2000 megahertz stable. Is it bad silicon? If you have to set a curve specifically to run over 85%, there's a problem. Maybe drivers. If it runs at 100% under normal testing, make sure you're not CPU limited. It could be that your CPU bottlenecked, in which case your GPU might not be pulling full power because it might be limited elsewhere. So look into that potential variable. And then driver refresh. 2000 megahertz is basically an overclock. So is it bad at 2000 megahertz? Not particularly. We've pushed cards higher. We've had cards that don't do as well. It just depends. But I would say check for a CPU limitation if you're running at 85% because that's not normal. Vasudeva, $5. No message. Thank you. Michael Morris, $5. Went from water to air on an EVGA 980, but don't have the middle plate that had the thermal pads. Will this kill my GPU? Been fine the last 2 months. Water to air. Water to air. Oh, because I guess you converted it and you converted it back and you're missing parts. On a 980, don't have the middle plate that had the thermal pads. If by middle plate you mean the base plate, the one that sits between the PCB and the cooler, you should have that there. Will it kill the card? I guess I'd have to see the card. The problem is that if there's no, you just have to run your fans at a higher speed because like the memory and the VRM can run within spec without direct contact cooling with just air, but it's got to be a lot of air and you're pushing it through a fin stack that's hot from the GPU and past a bunch of heat pipes. So you need a high CFM to push through all that stuff in the way and get to the parts. So ideally you have the plate, the base plate. Let's restart this. Jay, $10. I just got an RMA 2080 Ti FTW3. As soon as I installed X1, it killed it. 3 power lights. Old card is back in it now. Fun stuff. Yeah, I don't even know. I kind of doubt that it was the software that killed hardware, but I don't know. There's a lot of different problems with these cards, as is normal, and that means that if there's not a consistent problem, that's probably a good thing. There's a consistent problem. It's artifacting. Okay, so we did a minus 1,000 offset on the memory. Let's try not touching the memory this time, and let's do a core underclock, and then maybe after that a power under power configuration, and minus 250 core, I'm going to leave this open this time just to confirm if it's working. And after all of this, we might be able to kind of get some ideas if it's a power delivery issue, if the if underpowering it fixes some of the artifacting. But we're not under power right now. It is downclocked. So typically in firmware does not enumerate the clock the same way, so it runs lower frequencies. And that's because it's a burn on the VRMs. This typically runs at about 1500, 1600 megahertz in firmware. We're off minus 250, so it is applying correctly. The underclock is working. We're going to let it run. It tends to fail within a couple minutes if it is going to fail. And we're just trying to diagnose why these cards are, or well, maybe not why exactly they're failing, but figure out what can bypass the failing, and then think from there if there's any obvious solution from that point. Newbie 50 NOK. I can test my 2080 Ti if it only arrives pre-ordered. The EVGA in September still not arrived, but that's a revision 2 to 5. It's on. Oh, you're talking about mining maybe? It's on ETH and yeah, memory intensive. This is referencing the previous question or note from Newbie. So yeah, let us know what you find on your 2080 Ti. Someone earlier was asking about how mining might produce artifacting, if it does, or if it produces other memory errors, and I don't know. But if you do that kind of thing, let us know. The official Ash 88, $10. Thank you. Hi Steve, I've been overclocking my 2080 Ti, but I've encountered a blue screen of death. This happened after going over an 800 offset of the memory. Have you encountered BSODs due to overclocking memory? Yes, definitely. I've encountered BSODs due to any kind of overclock. If you push it too high, it'll potentially BSOD. We saw it on stream previously. You need to find delta clocks. So try this. Even though 800 is failing you, try 980. See if that's stable, because 980 seems to be like a memory strap or something, and those should be consistent on all cards. It doesn't mean it'll work, but you might find that sometimes a higher clock is more stable than a lower clock, or a lower clock might produce better performance than a higher clock, depending on where it is on the sliding scale. Equin Starbeat, $2.10. Retrospective content bit on the viewer sent CPUs. Yes, we definitely want to do that. We have a video coming up that's already filmed talking about all those parts. So great idea. We're already on it. And right now, if you're just tuning in, we're trying to see if this card has been failing consistently with artifacting, flickering, black screens. So we're trying to see if we underclock the core, will it happen again? Underclocking the memory did not seem to have an effect, but maybe the core will. Abe Lincoln, good to have you here, sent $7. Maybe adjusting the $5 note for inflation, I guess. Send Linus money soon on the WAN show and keep 2 for tacos. Ah, I see now. Now I understand. I'm going to leave Linus alone this week. I harassed him 2 weeks ago and threw him off his game when he was reading the super chats. Acerman171, $10. Thank you. Could you do an OC tutorial on the 2700X to get the same OC like Der Bauer when he got 4.5 boost? Asking me to get the same overclock as Der Bauer is asking a lot, but on some cores and 4.25 all core, somehow I'm not able to get it working. I'm not alone. Yeah, silicon lottery matters a lot. Motherboard VRM quality matters a lot. Cooler matters a lot. So the colder you can get the core, the more you can push the voltage. And then you might need some fans on the VRM too, depending on how good that heatsink is. So I would say push for a better cooler on the core. Make sure the VRMs aren't overheating, and try from there. Be cautious with how high you push voltage, though. Okay. 4.25. I'm just doing a control F to find where I was because super chat scrolled up. 4.25. Okay. Hasn't failed yet. So maybe there's something to this core underclock on this particular model. How long does it take to crash with TimeSpy? This card crashed in maybe 3 minutes in TimeSpy, something like that. It's somewhere between 2 and 5. It's a little faster than Firmark, so we're using Firmark just for purposes of being in a stream. But TimeSpy Extreme does cause a failure, and TimeSpy is a very good gaming benchmark stand-in. Same type of workload. CPU barely does anything. GPU does a lot. People ask about, is this a common problem? The answer is we are not clear, but I mean, I can't validate this, but everything I've been told and would trust thus far is that there is no failure rate above what is normally seen. It's just that this type of failure seems to be like they're all the same type of failure. And it's a very loud failure because it's a $1,200 card. So failure rate is something like under 0.1% for some board partners, under 0.01% for others, and part of that is sample bias, because if you're under 0.01%, you might look at the cards they have and go, oh, they haven't sold many, and all of them are custom PCBs, or something like that. So that can affect the data we're looking at. We don't know NVIDIA's RMA rate. They've told us it's not a broad issue. They haven't seen a lot of them. We really have to just take them at their word for that, because I have no way to cross-validate it, and I haven't had any sources inside tell me otherwise. And then Roman Derbauer works at CaseKane. He did a video talking about how theirs was like 1.5% RMA, which is pretty normal as well. So is it a common problem? Probably not, but it's common enough that you're hearing about it online, and it's an expensive card. It sucks to be left out in the cold with one of these, especially because it is so hot. So we wanted to test it and see if we could reproduce the issue and see it for ourselves. And just on cue, there it is. Wow, look at that. It's like a, that'd make a cool tattoo. It's like a skyline. So, nice. So that's what's happening on some of them. That's at minus 250 core. I don't know if it lasted longer than previously or not. I'd have to go back and look. But and by the way, this is a bug. So if you're worried that the fans aren't spinning, they actually are. But it's misreporting in this software. So that did not survive. Just to prove a quick point, though. So sensors. Fan speed, 41% currently. So I mean, yeah, I'm looking at it, it's spinning. But just in case you don't believe me, there's GPU-Z telling you 41% idle, which is where it should be. That's the floor. Okay. See if it could be power fluctuation with a flat curve. We can look at that. There's some testing I'm going to be doing offline for time reasons. Okay, we got a store order, thank you. And I need to go through some more super chats. I'm behind on them. I'm going to try and get through as many as I can. I mean, I'll get through all of them. It's just give me some time to catch up. I'll get through all of them before end of stream, though. Sarah from Michigan, it looks like, purchased a keychain and one of the limited foil shirts. Thank you very much. And what is super chat and chat saying? So, Guy Salazar, $35, thank you. You and your team are amazing. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you for watching, supporting us. It's extremely helpful and much appreciated. Adam Schumann Sr., $5. You are still out of the 3X. Oh, I got that one. Teal logo shirt. Yes, and we still have 3X of these. We might have 3X of some others. I need to look. But we'll try and order some more of those. We do have 3Xs of these, though. 90 ALX, 5 GBP. Hey, from the UK. Thanks for keeping me sane on the night shift. Glad to give you something to listen to. Ganji Films, $2, worth upgrading to a 2080 Ti from a 1080 Ti. Probably not. I don't know. Depends on what you need, right? So, like, if you're pretty happy with your performance now, then the answer is no. And if you're not happy with your performance now, and an extra 30% will get it for you, the answer is yes, if you have the money to spend on that. So, maybe if you do like a lot of high-res, multi-monitor gaming, I don't know. I would say VR, but it's not that intensive. So I don't think it necessarily it is, but if you're not getting what you need out of a 1080 Ti, then you really don't have many other options. Sean Collins, $2. Steve, can you explain chips on Intel 6 SSD? I don't think so, because I'm not familiar with why this is a question. 600 series, maybe? Let me tell you this. Check Alan Malventano's reviews from PC Per. I always like to send people his way for SSD questions. He's an expert in the space. I think he's the best SSD reviewer. So check out his content, and he should probably have far better explanations than I give. I'm not afraid to tap out on questions I don't know the answer to. Crack on PC. Hong Kong, $25. Thank you. Is the CPU 28 cores, 5 gigahertz? Nope. No, it's not. It's an 8086K. So this wasn't, let me get this running while I read super chats, because it does take a few minutes to fail. I'm gonna do minus 500 now. We'll try a curve later, a volt frequency curve later off stream. That did not set. What's the lowest it even goes here? Minus 1,000, okay. Well, let's try again. Minus 450. Please apply, okay. So this one fails in TimeSpy and FirmArc. And let's run that. Okay, that's not what it's supposed to look like. So that's probably because last time, I guess I need to restart between the last failure and this one. So let's go ahead and give that a restart. Instant fail. Okay. Oh, someone, Mosky, 71, $1.99, thank you. Steve, I'm the owner of C1. Thanks for the help. RMA arrives Wednesday. Oh yeah, I've got yours right here. It needs to go back to EVGA. So we worked with EVGA, who were actually, our media rep stepped in and handled RMAs for a couple of the people who sent cards to us that needed to be replaced. And his job isn't even the RMA department, and he replaced them for the people. So got to give them credit for fast response and getting the viewers sorted out who loaned us their cards. And then their cards are going to be going, I think this might be the other one that failed. I think their cards are going to be going back to EVGA this weekend, though. So EVGA will diagnose them further and send them to us as necessary, or send their information to us, rather. So glad you got your RMA shipping out to you that quickly, though. Glad we could provide some assistance while doing all the troubleshooting. Okay, so let's try this again. This is so weird. I feel like normally I get a crash and I'm saying, okay, let's try this again, except it's to increase voltage and increase the clocks. And this time we're trying to decrease everything to improve stability the other direction from stock. Okay, well that's gonna eventually pop up. Let's try minus 450. Minus 250 didn't help us out. Under power might be the next thing to do. I'm gonna run GPU Z this time just so we can keep an eye on things that Precision doesn't report. Okay, launch. See if it dies. And I know that's not really gonna be legible for camera, but I will be able to check it and read it out to you in the event of a failure for this one. All right, so super chats. Sean Devine, $5. Oh yeah, get it right. Keeblets Canadian, Ruble Miser, Linus. I'm about 50 minutes behind on super chats, but I can catch up. Let's see. If I read about 10 of them, I can get almost to current time. Luke W, $10. Why does Geekbench always crash my 8086K when stable on everything else? Even at 5 gigahertz and 1.4 volt V-Core. Also, when will mod mats be in stock? The large mod mat that I have on the table here, so this is the 4-foot by 2-foot model. The large mod mat, I say model because there's a medium one that we're working on making, but it won't be ready till probably January. So the large one, we have another round of these coming in early December. So especially if you're in the US, if you place a back order on it now, because they've been selling out constantly, so they're back ordered. If you place a back order, we still have inventory for this round. So you'll get one in the US definitely before Christmas. International, I'm not sure. You can email us at support@gamersnexus.net, and our distributor will help you figure that out for timing. After that, our next round is probably going to be January, end of January, maybe February. It kind of depends on Chinese New Year and stuff like that for manufacturing. That is some of the most spectacular failure we've seen tonight. So, and then to answer your question about why does Geekbench crash when everything else is stable? It's probably the type of workload. I don't know what Geekbench does. I never use it. But AVX would be a good example. If it's AVX, if games are stable, but it's doing some AVX load, and I don't know what Geekbench does, then that would explain it. You could do an AVX offset, negative offset on the multiplier if you want to hold 5.0 on everything, but AVX, for example. So underclocking the core did not help, but I didn't offset. I didn't do like a volt frequency curves. We'll try that later. Let's do one more thing. I want to underpower it now. I'm going to restart. So people keep sending hugs and kisses every time they die because I guess the XDs also look like XOs. I just now caught on to that. I saw people saying it. It's the GPU-Z strobe light. Okay. So I guess, I don't know, I guess minus power this time. And just to be clear, for anyone tuning in now, TimeSpy does the same thing, and that's a gaming workload. So it's not just because we're torturing the power components with FirmArk. TimeSpy is doing the same thing. I'm just using this because it launches faster and it fails faster. So same mode of failure, just faster window to create the failure. Okay, that's annoying. Literally didn't do anything. Figured I'd at least be able to get the application open before it crashed. So this card is getting decreasingly happy at this point. It's not crazy hot. That backplate's like under 50°C, so that doesn't mean there isn't a hot component, but again, based on the one that's wired up with a bunch of thermocouples, it's probably fine. I don't know, let's restart it, see if it keeps doing that. Might have killed the drivers with it that last time. Okay. So we got a question from Michael Thompson, $4.99. Linus Tech Tips is going. Okay. You can figure out what the last word is. I'm not going to say the rest of it because I don't want to be taken out of context. We like working with Linus. He addresses a different audience. May not be the same people, but it's a very important audience. We're getting newcomers into the space, and then they eventually come over to us. We've seen that a lot, by the way, with people who started on Linus and they discovered us later. So he plays an important role. I told him once that he is like the anchor store in a shopping center. He's the reason people come to the space, and hopefully they find our store next to it. And this is what you would call bad. This is undesirable behavior. This card's really unhappy now, so I think this one might be done. I'll have to take it apart and look at it later. Because it was kind of holding for, well, I mean, not really. It was holding for like 3 minutes. But I would say this one, it was clear this one was already going through RMA channels, but now we'll do some further testing on it. It's definitely going through RMA channels. So that's card D1. We had E1 was also failing, artifacting. Neither catastrophically. It's not like they blew up. So D1 not doing so well. Look at that more later. Think we're done with that one. Maybe do one more while I catch up on super chats. This one perhaps. I1. Okay. I think there's one card here, one of those EVGA cards that definitely works now after the driver update. Nope, need power cables. So this is I1. I don't, unless I did at the start of the stream, I don't think I did. I don't think I've tested this one yet. Okay. Off to the races for that one. So, check on chat while that's booting up. We're gonna have to do drivers again. She's done ski, Steve. Wow, so that card's someone saying do the smell test. I've actually used that this week, and it does not smell like smoke. So no popped components. It's really obvious when a component pops. I'll tell you why I know later after we investigate further. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll retest that once more. Might need some time to chill out for a bit. Who's D1? Is that what that was? D1. D1 is for the gentleman in Kentucky, and I'll be in contact with you later. We'll do some more diagnostics on it, and then you can go through your RMA. Windows not happy after that failure. Okay, I need to read some super chats. We're still behind. All I have to do is read like 10, and we're almost to present time. So, Frederick Dugway, $20 Canadian, thank you. Hi, Dale. Not my name, but okay, we'll go with it. Hi, Dale. I upgraded from a Ryzen 1700X to a Pentium G40 620 and saw no frame drops. GTX 1080 Ti. I'm so confused by this message. That's not an upgrade. So I think it's a joke. Well, we're going to go with that. But, Michael Thompson, $199. It's a conspiracy. He admitted it. This is back to when I was saying that I of course, am behind all of this. Ian Powell, $2. Well done. I will stick with my 970. Now, just to be clear, yeah, probably wait a little bit till it's cleared up, but it's not supposed to be a widespread issue. We'll see. The screen's black. I don't think Windows liked that last, what the card did to it last time. Let's give it a bit and I'll read some more. Robert Velasquez, $5. For an 8700K with a 1080 Ti, is the real-world in-game difference between enabling MSI's enhanced turbo and manually overclocking to 5 GHz noticeable? 8700K, what does that boost to? Is it 4.7? I can't remember what that boosts to anymore. I want to say it's 4.7 or something. Is it different between enhanced turbo? So enhanced turbo will go to the highest single thread speed. And I don't have that memorized. I have 86K memorized. But if 5 GHz all core is higher than the fastest single thread, then yes, because the fastest single thread with ET will remove the power limit, duration limitations if there are any, and it will also boost to the all cores, the fastest single thread. You can test it really easily though. Cinebench is great for that. Minoku 90, $4.99. How's that EVGA keyboard? It's actually okay. So, like as a keyboard, it's fine. The switches are standard. I don't remember if they're red or brown. I think they're brown. It's fine. I have a few things I don't like with it. Like, I've talked to EVGA already, but I want the Windows key needs to be on the other side where it always is. And if they're going to leave it split like this, at least have the FN, the function, and the Windows key be the same cap. Because in software, you can switch these two functions. So you can make this one over there and vice versa. But the keys are different size, the cap's different size, so you can't switch them, which is really unfortunate. So that's just a gripe I have with it. The volume slider is kind of funny because if you are adjusting volume through software, then obviously that doesn't move with it. So if you adjust your software to 80% and your dial is down there at 20, next time you move it, it's going to jump. So a wheel would be better. But that's it's okay as a keyboard, though. I really don't mind it. Other than that, oh, it also... Why are you laughing? It also does this. Pretty nice. And I'm not going to do it this time, but last time we did that during a stream, Jacob from EVJ said he uses the spring load to launch things. So I put a screw on it, and I launched it in the air, and then realized it's a bad idea near an open air test bench. It was fine though. It didn't land in it. Mechanical Fluff, $5. Came in late. Has this been narrowed down to a particular lock code? Is artifacting reproducible on Linux? Good question, not sure. The answer is no and not sure. I'm working on collecting all of the serial numbers and all that stuff still. And SNs for memory and ICs. Arthur Zhao, I'm just gonna get through a bunch of super chats. Give me a few minutes here. Actually, we don't have too many to go through, so. Wait, where'd it go? There it is. Oh yeah, we don't have many. Let me get through these. Arthur's out, $5. Thank you for doing this great testing. By the way, do you know how long did it take for these cards to break? First day or a couple of days or weeks? Depends. A couple of people who sent them in said failure was about 70 hours for artifacting. Some of them said it was basically instantly. The BSODs have been resolved by drivers for the most part, and those were all the time. It depended on your monitor. And then I think there was one that took like a week of just progressive or degenerative failure, basically. Nicholas Mayo, $5. Just buy it. I wonder if it's because you forgot to turn off ray tracing. Nope. Kevin Dougherty, $2. Thank you. No message. Horachas Plays TV, $2. That artifacting symbol is Steve's Jesus Fish XD. Corey Bayers, we should make that for cars. Corey Bayers, $4.99. Steve, you heard about us about the beanies. Now hear us about the Dunsky Oneski with included dragon sizes and XD pattern. Hashtag Oneski. I like the product name of Dunsky Oneski. I'll have to license it from Kingpin though, because Dunsky is his word. Seventh Day Savior, $5. I just lost my job, ouch, but you've ray traced my heart, Steve. Go buy yourself a ray traced coffee with this. Keep your money, man. Good luck with the job hunt. Sorry to hear that. Definitely best of luck. Peter L, PHP 2500. Is that Philippines dollars? I don't know. Thank you so much, though. Whatever amount it is, doesn't matter. We always appreciate it. Thanks for showing us how crappy the new RTX cards, and then I think that's a peace sign emoji. I mean, definitely these ones are problematic. Absolutely. I just draw a line between I solicited these, so they are bad, and then I've got a dozen others in the storage room that work just fine. So I don't know. It's a bit of a lottery, I guess. BitDragon or BritDragon, $2. Should I upgrade from a 1070? Probably not. I don't know. Depends on what kind of money you're trying to spend. If you're going like 1070 to 2070, no. If you're going from 1070 to like 2080, which is a 1080 Ti, or a 2080 Ti, and you have that much money to spend, I guess so. But only if you are at a point in your performance where you're really disappointed by it and you need more. If not, then just wait. There's no reason to constantly upgrade cycle if you're happy with performance. Otto Eliason, SEK20, what CPU are you using? 8086K, it's not a 7980XE, but thank you for keeping the meme alive. Guido Salducci, $5, just dropped 769 on EVJ's SC2 Black Edition 1080 Ti. I feel like this will hold me over till the next generation of cards, 2100 or even Navi. Yeah, 1080 Ti is a perfectly good card. In fact, we have a video coming up on this. Of all the purchases that our viewers made at RTX launch, 64% of them were 1080 Ti's. All video card purchases. You'll see that in our video coming up. 64%. So that's all GTX for 10 series and all RTX. And then if you count AMD in there, I think it drops to about 56%. So 1080 Ti is really popular with the RTX launch. Are 2070s having the same issue or just 2080 Ti? Not clear. I have heard mixed stories. I have a couple more to get through. Keithington, $249, $5. Did you get my email about DisplayPort 1.1 cable issue with the 2070? I need to catch up on a lot of issues about RTX cards. We got like 100 of them after the last news video, so probably not. I mean, I'm sure I have it, but I haven't read them all. So I apologize. Trying to work through them while also doing normal work. I will read them all, though, for that inbox. Leviathan Prim, $6. Hello, GN. When will the lightweight Raglan zip hoodie in medium and small be back in stock? Great question. I just got a shipping notice for those today, so they are on the way to us now. They're already with UPS, I think. So we'll have those in the next couple of days. So keep an eye out. I'll probably tweet when they're back in. Andreas Sheriff, $2. Do a power shunt mod and see if it crashes. I would clear that with the owner first because that's getting into modifications. So no plans to do that right now. We have other ways to test. We can decrease the power. We can increase power offset, stuff like that through software. Let me read the last few while we try and get this thing alive again. I'm just going to completely shut it down, give it a minute, and then turn it back on and see if it wakes back up. Windows is very unhappy, I think, after the last crash. Hopefully it's Windows. Hopefully it's not a motherboard issue, but I doubt it. Ben Beerley, $7.99 Australian. Thank you. Hey, Steve, I'm looking to build a new PC. What would you build now on a 9900K platform specifically, I guess? If I'm building on a 9900K platform, I really want to see how the Z390 Dark is. So I would probably, personally, you asked me what I would do. So I would probably hold out another month and see what does the Dark look like. Is it any good? Just because the X299 Dark I liked working with a lot. And for boards that are out now, the Gigabyte Extreme is good. It's very expensive to go that route. But I don't know. If you're going to like push overclocks kind of hard, then I would go for the higher end boards. If not, there are plenty of other boards to fit your needs. Honestly, for a GPU, if I could find one at like $700, I would still buy a 1080 Ti though today. Mosky, oh, I got yours earlier. Paul Hunter, $5, 2600K at 4.8. That's very good. R9 290X, can I upgrade to a 1080 Ti or do I need a new motherboard, CPU, etc.? So you're going to be on, I don't remember what, I don't know. You have to check what PCI generation you're on, but you should be kind of okay with a single card, even with PCIe 2 at X16. You're going to be at the limits though. So if you are, well, my son whines about FPS. I don't know. You're talking about looking for the best bang for the euro, and do you need a new motherboard, CPU, etc., like a 2600X? 2600K is pretty old. If he's just gaming, I don't know. Yeah, I would say a 1080 Ti is a reasonable upgrade if you have the money to then get a CPU and motherboard later, perhaps in a couple months, because that 1080 Ti will be good for a while. Same with the other way. If you want a 2600X, I don't think a CPU upgrade is going to improve your son's FPS in an immediate fashion. I think it will help allow the higher-end GPUs to fully leverage the core, but I would start with the GPU if you might have budget a bit later, or you could always wait a little longer if he can wait and try and just go all at once. But to answer your question very directly, my inclination is that at 4.8 on a 2600K, which is still pretty good, we tested it recently, and it was keeping up well with a 1080 Ti to the point where it was actually bottlenecking it a bit. So I'd have to see how it does with the 290X, though. I'm not sure. But yeah, I would say my inclination is GPU upgrade and then CPU maybe a couple months down the line. Alex Forster, also my reasoning for that is because CPU upgrade will force a RAM upgrade, and that's getting expensive. So let me read like 4 more of these. Alex Forster, $5. Thanks for running these tests. My 2080 Ti has been running well lately, but initially had quirks, and I'm keeping a close eye on your testing. I mean, good to hear it's running well. If the quirks were driver related, that driver patch update might have helped you out. Troy Leonard, $2. WAN show's over, so I'm back. Welcome back. Depending on when you left, we are now down. We're done through 4 cards, and I think 2 of those had severe artifacting issues to the point where it might have taken out Windows with it. This one's trying to get going. I don't think I've even installed drivers yet. The Gigabyte card failed in FirmArc, but not in TimeSpy, so mixed bag. Scarlet Tech, $9.99. Do you think the RTX cores and Tensor cores will generate more heat and thermally limit cards once ray tracing is available? I figure vapor chambers may get saturated possibly. Well, it's already getting kind of overloaded by the heat load it's dealing with. I would assume that activating more of the GPU would increase the heat load on the cooler, but seriously? But they might be doing some power gating on the rest of the cores. I'm just changing, I'm unplugging the SSD, booting it without one, and then we'll see what it does if I boot it with one again. But yeah, I don't know, they might be doing some clock gating on the core once the RT cores are active, so we don't know what the behavior will be just yet. New to this channel, 50 NOK. Hi, I'm new to this channel. I've been watching for a long time. Keep up the great work. Well, welcome. Thank you for watching. And thank you very much for the donation. Always helps out. Thomas Lukens, $5. Steve, please do a future piece on where gallium-based CPUs are and why silicon isn't dead yet. Gallium-based CPUs, I am not familiar with. Graphene, maybe? Not qualified to answer that today, but maybe I could do some research and talk to David Cantor or someone like that. We could always look into that stuff. No current plans, but I will look into your question with David Cantor. He's a good source for that. Okay, let's see if it actually killed Windows or not. Everything is as it should be. Scott Andes, $5. If I'm upgrading from an i5 6600K, is it better to go an i7 8700K or a 9900K for gaming? Again, how many frames do you really need? 8700K is a massive upgrade from an i5 6600K, first of all. If you're only gaming and you're trying to do like 144 hertz or 200 hertz or something crazy like that, yeah, 9900K will better get you into that position, but we also saw really high frame rates on the 8700K. So I have a hard time recommending the 9900K just because of the price. It's definitely the objectively better chip for gaming, but it's also objectively a lot more money. So again, my inclination is 8700K because I tend to be more cost conscious, because if the performance, if sort of the value starts falling off a cliff, you hit diminishing returns as you approach 9900K, I am less inclined to personally go that route. But if you got lots of money and you want the best, I guess you can go that route. My inclination, again, though, is 8700K. It's not as big of an upgrade, but it's still a massive upgrade from an i5 6600K. And what boot code are we getting? It doesn't like the OS. I think it might have nuked the OS. I might have to re-image that later or something. We'll try it one more time. Let's see, a couple more to read. Not too many. Sebastian Cruz, €10. Maybe a bit off topic on RTX stream, but what's your opinion on liquid metal instead of normal paste between the CPU and cooler? I used it on my latest build, but I'm afraid about the copper cooler. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. it will color it. So we have a video on liquid metal corrosion. Look that up. Look up corrosion on the Gamers Nexus channel. Click the search button, type that in, and we have a video on it. I explain why you'll get some coloration on that copper heatsink, and it's becoming plated, basically, almost like electroplating. So take a look at that content. It'll be fine. It just means you have to use more liquid metal than otherwise. So blue screen again. It's not even blue screen. It's just like Windows is gone or something. Let's just do some basic stuff. What do I want? Command prompt. Boot rec. Nope. That's not typed properly. Scan OS. No OS. Okay, that's nice. Rebuild BCD. Access denied. Okay. Well, that card might have blown up the operating system. I don't even know if this is going to work. Probably not. Yeah, okay. Let's reboot again. I'll make sure, well, BIOS should be set to the right mode. Okay, let me read through the rest of the super chats. We might be done. I think the previous card crashing killed Windows, but I will look into it. You can often recover Windows just by moving over some files. Gallium arsenide. Oh, that's a good point. There was a content piece about that. I'm not sure the current status of that. There we go. It's back. It's back. Okay. So last card we're going to do, I guess. I've not tested this one yet, so we still need the DDU and all that stuff. It's restoring to the state of the previous card before it got nuked. Okay, DDU. Last one. We have more, but I'm going to cut it here after we see what this one does. Sudo RMRF. Nope. Okay, remove recursively. Question on Daharan, $10. Sorry if I came off as a jerk in the comments. I don't remember your comments, so I think we're good. Anyway, can you do a custom overclock turbos and max turbos vice all core verse across? Can you benefit from this sort of tweaking to balance core temps? Overclock turbos versus maximum turbos. Custom. So maybe you could do like, if what you're asking is setting different cores to different clocks, then you can get a bit more stability, a bit higher clock on a single thread. It's good for benchmarking. I don't like it for production or daily use. It's good for benchmarking because the graphics render thread is often on one thread on the CPU, maybe two. And so if you overclock one, assuming it ends up with the task, then it can help with increasing benchmark scores, like in Times by Extreme, but I don't like it for daily use, if that's what your question was, not sure. Sean Devine, $5, please bring in the senior AMD analyst as an RTX expert. Well, I just rebuilt the old set. I got the final 2 lights in for it yesterday, so we can do some more videos there with Snowflake on as a special guest, or CEO. Seville SA, $2, test VR plus Vive, want to see Beat Saber Steve dance. Nope, and we did VR benchmarking in the past. Pretty interesting content, but we kind of stopped because it was interesting once and then it stopped being interesting because, I don't know, market isn't really there to justify it. The time expense for us is tremendous to do VR benchmarks. It's completely insane how long it takes. Because it requires setup of a whole room for like multiple days wherein you can no longer do other testing. That's a big opportunity cost. And then it's also, I don't know, the games aren't super demanding, so once you test it once, you kind of don't need to anymore. We'll look at it maybe at some point once VR gets another major push, if it does, but on hold presently for VR tests. So if you don't know what I'm doing, I'm installing drivers on the last card we're going to test. We've had several artifacting cards tonight. The previous one almost blew up some of the software on the system, but last one, this is card I1. And who is the owner of this card? This is Henry's card. Henry was watching earlier. Okay, so we're just installing the drivers. Super chats and store orders. So we got Sean Collins. I'm almost to the bottom of the super chats while this installs. $2 Australian, thank you. I've seen just having MSI Afterburner cause artifacts. Well, we've seen artifacts with nothing else open, so I don't know. I guess it's completely sporadic maybe. It might be just correlation, not causation in that case. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to know because there's so many different types of things that can go wrong with software and hardware. Space Birdie, $2. When I overclock my 1060 at all, why does my CPU score drop? Instability, maybe? Something like that. Probably instability. INZ Ravian, $2, 8700K or 9900K. Answered that question a bit ago. You're upgrading from a 7700K though. I don't think an 8700, it's a decent upgrade, but I don't know. I don't think it's a big enough upgrade. 7700K at 5.2 gigahertz, 1.31 volts is pretty damn good. So if I were you, I probably wouldn't go to an 8700K from that. That's pretty damn, like that's a good chip that you have. It's probably one of the best. So I would probably shoot for 9900K if you're going full gaming. Or wait, Henry Dufour, $1, thank you. William 2, $5. Is using liquid metal on a high-end air cooler with the price? And what do you think about IC graphite thermal pads? I wouldn't use it on the cooler, no. I would use it between the IHS and the die only. Between the cooler and the die, it's really, or the IHS, sorry. It's kind of irrelevant. Graphite thermal pads, no present thoughts. I think they were way overblown. They're not as good as they're made out to be. Alan Morris, $3. Your thoughts on Gen 2 or 3 Ryzen versus Intel? No thoughts. It's not out. I don't have benchmarks, so I'm not going to speculate on it. Okay, so that's installed. Let's turn G-Sync off just to eliminate that vector for failure. And we're going to reboot. This is the last one we're doing. We've tested a lot of cards tonight, including those with thermocouples all over them, and showed thermals weren't an issue on that one anyway. David Kowalski, $20. Thank you. Ever consider reviewing laptops, even just flagships? Variance in Thermal Solutions is begging for GN treatment. We've done it. I used to do it a lot, but the interest wasn't there, and people don't seem to care about laptop reviews in quite that way. I think I could find a way to make people care, but the time seems better spent on core components. We've done laptop reviews. The last big one I did was on bloatware, but we've done thermals, and it's just, I don't know, it maybe later, but my time is better spent on testing other stuff. If we branch out, get another technician, maybe we could do laptop testing again, but the interest just isn't there in our audience specifically. Better to work on other stuff also that we find more interesting too. Okay, let's start with FurMark, just like every other one. I'm actually going to close Precision on this. And is it dead? Is it completely gone? Yes. So we're going to do FurMark. We've been starting with this, then we always go to TimeSpy Extreme, and those create failures just like games do. So let's let that go for a bit. What notes do I have on this card? This one might have been a, I don't remember, was this a blue screen or an artifacting issue? I don't remember which one this was. I think this one was artifacting. Actually, I have photos for this one. Hang on, let me find those. The owner sent some photos of the issue in the box, which is actually extremely helpful. So I can quick reference them. Is this from that owner? Yes. Okay. So, literal photos. All right, so this particular owner was seeing issues like this one, I suppose. Nope, it's frozen. But they were seeing stuff like that, artifacting. I know it's kind of weird to hold a photo up to a camera. We'll reproduce it soon enough. And I don't know if this was his, I think it might have been. I found that post on Reddit. And he may have been the one I PM'd about that issue. So anyway, clearly artifacts in those examples. So it shut down. I don't think I didn't shut it down, did I? I was holding a photo. Okay. Max power has not exceeded previous max, so it didn't freak out on the power. It just shut itself off. That's nice.
It artifacted for 2 seconds.
Oh, did it? Did you catch it? A little. So it artifacted again for a second, I guess. I did install drivers, right? Like there were drivers on there. Okay. Drivers are gone. It has killed them. It crashed and it ate the drivers. Let's see if DDU detects it. Yes, Henry says, yep, that's mine. Yes, it is. Okay, so again, let me address this again. Just saw on Reddit, NVIDIA's replacing ARM cards with new Samsung memory. Could Micron memory be the issue? It could be. There could be bad batches from Micron. But there's evidence to the contrary. That some people have projected that all the Micron memory on the RTX cards is bad. That's wrong. Because the failure rate's low enough, and we have a lot of cards, other reviewers have a lot of cards. This is an uncommon issue. It's common enough to definitely be a problem, and we're not brushing it under the rug. That's why I'm doing this. But I also want to keep people in check and remembering that memory suppliers are added to the roster all the time. So this is the move to support Samsung memory is more of a move to support increased demand for the product and get more memory suppliers bidding against each other, so that NVIDIA can drive the cost down of their memory so they can supply more cards with more memory. So although there may be a correlation, perhaps some batches of Micron memory were bad, we don't know. It is not anything as wide-reaching as all Micron memory was bad, just to be clear on that. Great question, though. Let's see. So someone says, I went 2700X to 9900K and my VR experience became much better. Same system otherwise. Keep up the great work. Thank you. That was from Seville SA. We did our 1700 VR testing versus the 7700K. That was pretty interesting back in the day. Drew Pickard, $5 or Pickard. Hellblade for VR can murder a rig trying to get solid 90 FPS. That's a good point. No room needed. It's a seated game. The intro scene would be an excellent benchmark. If we do it again, I will remember that because Hellblade is an extremely demanding game, so that's a good point. But it's still a lot of work, even without the room space requirement. Setting up the tools to do the benchmarks is kind of insane. They're non-standard. They're not trivial to work with. Processing the data requires a bit of scripting. It's not it's stuff we've done, and we already have done, but it's that much more legwork to get the benchmarks completed, so we don't do it too often. Just Chris 47, $5. How good of a board, in your opinion, is the... My screen went black. It does that sometimes. It's this specific screen. It'll come back. Installing drivers. Okay, it's back. Where'd it go? How good of a board, in your opinion, is the Asus Crosshair Hero 6 Extreme? It's perfectly fine. We use it for our standardized Ryzen benchmarking. Couple store orders. Let me check those while that's installing drivers. So like I said, purchasing from the store is one of the best ways to support our streaming because it's a lot of extra work to set these up. Whenever we do them, still doing normal filming for the day and editing as well. But if you want to help us out directly, go to store.gamersnexus.net, grab something there that you think is suitable. We have everything from $10 keychains and cheap stickers and decals up to mod mats and shirts like the foil graph logo shirt I'm wearing tonight, which we are running low on stock for, I think, as of this stream. Actually, I'll check that inventory in a second. So we got an order from Tim in Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz is a great place. Who picked up the graphite zipper hoodie, thank you, and one of the mugs. And let me check on that inventory. See what we have left. So for the foil shirts, we have, we've still got a couple 3X and 4X. 2X is gone, and we're not ever going to get more. Large is gone. XL, there's still one, so don't pick that up yet. There's still one XL left of this shirt. A couple of mediums, a couple smalls, a couple extra smalls, but Large, 2X are gone, and XL is almost gone. It's still installing the drivers. Super chats. So I'll check normal chat in a moment too. TM, $5. I have an 8086K stable 5 gigahertz at 1.24 volts. That's very good. I can get it to 5.3 gigahertz at 1.43, but at thermal throttle. Should I delid? No. Oh wait, 8086K, yes. I take that back. 9900K, no. 8086K, yes. It's easy. Be careful, obviously, at your own risk, all that stuff. But the tools are cheap to delid an 86K. Simple process. You can buy the Rocket tool kit for like 30 bucks or something, and it's pretty foolproof. Follow the instructions, obviously, and then liquid metal help you out. Did that just like not install? I don't know. Let's restart it. Okay. So I'm going to, I don't know, we'll restart this, see if the drivers are there, and then I'll figure out what we're doing next. Tim, $5. Have you heard trouble of anyone getting NVIDIA to respond to returns? Been trying to return my 2080 Ti FE and have not gotten a single email back. As a matter of fact, yes, someone just sent a super chat named Tim saying that. So I haven't heard too many stories like that. I've definitely heard that NVIDIA has been slow to get returns processed, but I haven't heard that they've just straight ignored anyone. So try again. If it persists as a problem, let us know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll try the driver install one more time. The system does not like this card, or the previous one. Nestor, $5. I will be moving to Europe and want to future-proof myself as much as possible. What GPU do you recommend? 2070 or 1080 Ti or anything else? I like the 1080 Ti at that price class, if you can find it. Z-Money, $10. Hi, Steve, love GN. Thank you. Is it possible my 8086K sucks? Yes, it is possible. Can't get it stable 5 gigahertz all cores with anything less than 1.35 volts. Is 1.35 fine for every day? Yes, it is fine. Maybe the motherboard. Gigabyte Gaming SLI Z390, 10 plus 2 PWM. The 1.35 is fine. Just run 1.35. Israel Garcia, $4.99. I'm trying to find motherboards to do 2 Intel 905P in RAID 0, 2970 Evo M2, same, and 2 2080 Ti SLI. That is a lot of PCIe you want. 9900K, or should I go X299? So you want four SSDs that are on PCIe, and you want 2 GPUs. I'd say X299 or 399. Okay, we're gonna try this one more time. This time I'm doing a clean install. So I mean, DDU already happened, but whatever. Space Birdie, $2. Would a stable CPU become unstable once GPU overclocks? Not typically. Seville SA, $4.99. What about fan benchmarks? Would love a guide. Oh, like literal fans. Oh, wait, no. You mean like viewer fans? Would love a guide and be able to send in data so you don't have to do the VR work. Guide's not good enough. We need standardized testing. It needs to be the same person. The software is not easy to just turn into a guide. It's also partly in-house, so yeah, not doable. Israel Garcia, $199. Any word on when 2080 Ti hybrids will be available? Not sure. I don't know if Jacob's watching the stream, but if he is, Jacob, feel free to send a text. I think they said like, I'm not sure. Okay, not sure. I don't think he's messaged it to me. Ramon, $5. I have a restart. Okay, that was a good restart. We want that one. I have a 250 BTC with Celeron 7 1070s. When trying to use GPU render on 3ds Max, only 3 work, maybe because PCIe lanes. What do I need to use as a node cheap? I am not sure what you're asking for. I don't know. If you could elaborate, that would be great. I don't know what you're asking. Drivers could be an issue. PCIe lanes, if they're set up like a mining system, are probably an issue with that kind of render. I don't know. John Anderson, two of these super chats I need to get through. Is it going to install? It should install this time. It's trying to pop up. Not sure if you saw my message on Discord. Was the DX error related to DP secondary monitor? Does it happen when the secondary monitor is HDMI? If you mean when we're seeing those like XDs all over the screen, as I've been calling it, the artifacting, it does not matter if there's a secondary monitor. And it's happening on single monitors as well. Not sure about secondary monitor with HDMI, but the newest drivers fix a lot of secondary monitor issues. Last one I read for right now, Linux Guy 11, $2. Will you ever try them on Linux? Probably not. It is an interesting question though, but probably not immediately. So what's chat saying? I'm looking at chat right now. And I need to scroll down a bit. Chat says F. Yep. Someone says ask Autodesk for the other question. That does sound like Autodesk will probably respond to you. I don't know if they'll do it competently or not, but they'll respond. Without above 4G decoding, only 3 or so will work due to memory mapping. So there you go. Some people are trying to answer your question in chat. Thank you for taking that up for me. Ben Brearley, $2.99. Best case for water cooling, full ATX size. Thanks. I like the O11 Dynamic for that category. Without any other parameters or parts of the question. That's one I like. What do you think of Linus's modified IBM 5150? I am not familiar with it, so I'll have to go look. Do you have a Discord I can join? We do, but it's Patreon only. Patreon.com/gamersnexus for that. Okay, it installed. But it's not showing up. But it installed. Let's try restarting. I'm going to give up after this on this card. Okay, read out the last few store orders here. Matthew from Massachusetts picked up a Raglan hoodie. Thank you. Good timing on that again for the cool weather. Lightweight hoodie if you want one. It's two-tone, blue and grayish black. Got some decals from Brady. Thank you for picking those up in the U.S. And an order from John in North Carolina for a the last XL of this shirt. So large for the foil graph logo limited shirt. Limited because we're not making more. Once they're gone, they're gone. So large is at 0. That's done. It's not going to be listed again. XL is at 0, I think. Yeah, it's at 0. It's done. 2X, I think, is gone. So we've got some 3, 4X, and some small sizes. Let's see. Yeah, so large is 0. XL is gone. 2X is gone. Couple 3X, couple 4X, couple extra small, small, and medium. We have 2 extra smalls. Some smalls and some mediums. And that'll be it. We will not be restocking this order. So thank you for picking up the last XL, John. Okay. It did not look like it was successful, but let me read the last order here. Scott from New York picked up a Blueprint shirt. Thank you, Scott. All right, so I'm going to have to look at this separately. It doesn't like this card. Like, it's just straight not detecting it. Or it's not install. It is detecting it, but it's not installing the drivers properly. So it's either an OS issue or card issue. I can troubleshoot both. I'm not going to do it today on stream. So recap, we'll film separately, but the short version is this card, I think, was one of the very bad ones. I think that's the one that nearly took the OS with it. This card with all the thermocouples that I can't move over there is artifacting pretty bad, but thermals don't appear to be an issue on any of the components, memory or VRM. F1 was very bad when I was testing it earlier, but we didn't reproduce issues on the stream. G1, Gigabyte card, had issues in FirmArc, but we didn't see immediate issues in TimeSpy, so I need to test that further over a longer period. And this one, I1, exhibited issues like once, and we're not able to get it to go again. So I would say that one's a problem as well. So there's your quick recap. Someone said, Triode says, I have a Blueprint shirt. It's nice and soft. Glad to hear you like it. It's basically a two blend. It's like a 50-50 shirt. So read a couple chats for a second, just normal chats, then I'll close it out. So Dan Callahan says, Steve, I'm fairly new to the channel, 2 months watching. Love how informative your channel is. Made upgrading my CPU much easier recently. Glad to hear that. Glad it helped you. Someone just says GTX 2060, no context. So I'll just read that, I guess. Yeah, so Fortnite, that's it, no context. Why? Chat hasn't changed a bit. Okay, I've got 2 super chats. I'm not going to read any more after these 2. So we have Belmo 831, $5. What if you put cards in the oven to refloat the solder like we used to do with the 9800 GX2? I am not going to do that. These are not my cards. There are a lot of things I can do that won't violate the warranty or that no one will ever know about. That is not one of them. Putting it in an oven is pretty noticeable. So I will not be doing that. But it's an interesting question. I think you will not get an answer to that anytime soon because for most people, they can just file an RMA. They're within the window. They'll get a return. It'll be fine. Last one, Ramon, $2. Can't elaborate on 150. How do I write to you, please? I think, so chat gave you a lot of answers for your question about multi-GPU with 3ds Max. I don't think I can answer that. I'm not familiar with 3ds Max or its requirements. Autodesk might be able to help. I don't know. You can tweet at us, though. OK. All right, so that's it for this one, guys. I got to work on a recap and some other content. We filmed a few pieces today as well, hardware news and a case benchmark. That's pretty cool. And thank you for watching. We'll have more on these 2080 Ti's pretty soon. I need to do some follow-up testing offline, not streaming, so I can really dig into stuff and spend time on it. And yeah, that's it for this one. So store.gamersnexus.net, as always, to help us out directly, or pick up the last few of this shirt. Like I said, once it's gone, that's it. So we've got 3X, 4X, a couple smalls, couple mediums, and also a couple extra smalls, 2 of those. So almost gone. Pick it up on the store if you want it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more. I'll see you all next time.